to WLUR All Access. I'm Lily Mitchell here with James Laverty at Captain Dick Smith Field as the Washington and Lee Generals take on the Bridgewater Eagles in the first ODAC matchup of the 2020 season. It is a beautiful day here in Lexington, Virginia, and we are very excited to see some baseball today. It's going to be an interesting matchup between two freshman pitchers out on the mound today. We have John Raymond for the Generals taking a few warm-up pitches now, and then Hunter Cleaver for the Bridgewater Eagles. It appears that Cleaver has a little more experience out on the mound than Raymond, or so it says in the stats books. But James, what do you expect to see from Raymond today that may not be told by the stats?
Well, Raymond is a guy that the Generals right now and Coach Ted White is really, really excited about. He's a guy that throws hard, has a lot of life and movement on his fastball, really nasty curveball, can control 3 to 4 pitches, and he's a guy that the Generals right now have really big expectations for in the season. Obviously, right now in the stat sheet, only 2 1/3 innings with no earned runs allowed, but he had 5+ innings where he did not allow a run against SVU. Unfortunately, that game was canceled midway through due to rain, so his stats from that game were wiped. But in that game, he proved himself, and he proved he's going to be a very key pitcher for the Generals team in this season against a Bridgewater lineup today that is used to playing in a lot of high-scoring games. They're a team that's very, very good offensively, but tend to give up a lot of runs. So I would expect the Generals to score a lot of runs today, and it's going to be up to John Raymond, the starter, to see if he can hold Bridgewater down.
Absolutely. Just to go through the Generals lineup now as we make our way into the first inning, we have Raymond on the mound, as we just said. Bryce Burnett, the senior behind the plate. At first is the sophomore Brian Wickman. Colin Leby at second. Jason Volpicelli, the junior, at shortstop, with Chapin Bassi at third. And then in the outfield, we have Ryan Munson, the senior, holding it down in right. And then Mitchell Salvino out in center field with Perkins out in left. The first pitch by John Raymond was a ball, but there we go, strike right down the middle to make the count 1-1.
John Raymond, not a guy who's afraid to throw his fastball right in the zone for strikes, gets after hitters early. That's the key to success, is commanding that fastball. And he's misses first two early on, but he's just missing, so he's got it there. Sometimes it takes a pitcher an inning or two to really find all of his arm slot and what he's trying to do with it, but no worries here yet. That one just a bit outside now, 3-1.
Raymond taking his time out on the mound. Hit right back to Perkins in left field for a base hit for Biesecker, one of the top hitters for the Bridgewater Eagles.
Jarrett Biesecker last year led the ODAC in hitting with a .421 average, and he's picking up right where he left off last year. Very consistent guy. He's hitting .423. Not a guy who hits for a lot of power, or we shouldn't say that. He hit 3 home runs. That's a lot for this level. But a guy that really just singles the ball to death, and we saw that early on. A guy like John Raymond who throws really, really hard, upper mid-80s, and he just took him hardline drive to left field, and they got a man on to lead off the inning.
The first pitch to Tally was a strike.
Tally, another guy who can hit the ball. Already has a home run on the season, hits .330 and 52 at-bats, 17 hits, and he scored 17 runs. So, like we said, this Bridgewater team has very, very good offensive production.
John Raymond does not seem to be too concerned about the runner on first base, just trying to get after Tally at the plate with a fouled off ball for now 0-2 count.
Raymond just going at guys, getting ahead in counts and getting ahead early. When you're down 0-2 on Raymond, he's a guy who throws a lot of different pitches. It's not easy as a hitter, and so a smart young pitcher to know that to focus on the hitter and stay ahead in counts.
Just a little high there for ball 1.
And with these fastballs, he's just been missing early on. And even if you saw right there, he put that ball exactly where it on it. 0-2 count, high fastball, pretty hard at the letters. That's exactly what you want to do 0-2 if you're a pitcher.
Raymond throwing over to Wickman at first base, making sure that Biesecker doesn't get too big of a lead. Now back on the mound, ready to throw his fourth pitch to Tally. Another high ball for 2-2 count.
Probably missed just a little up with the slider there. Probably looking to get him looking on a 1-2 pitch. We'll see what he comes at him 2-2 right now. Raymond not a guy not afraid with the fastball that he has to put it in the zone. Look for him to try and paint outside or paint inside. Just keep that fastball on the corners.
Biesecker took off for second base as John Raymond released that pitch. Talley struck out swinging, but Biesecker is safe at second.
Second baseman number 15, Kevin.
And a good job right there. Raymond put that fastball right in and just blew it by him to show that he has really, really good stuff. And a guy that, with the way he hides the ball, is pretty deceptive, so it looks even harder than it is coming in there. Couldn't get the strike him out, throw him out, but good to get that first out after the leadoff hit. Big at-bat here with a runner in scoring position.
First pitch is a strike. Nevado just barely made some contact, but not enough to do anything with it.
Raymond looks like, per usual in the last 3 appearances that I've seen from him, just very, very confident in getting that fastball in the zone, panning it around where he wants it, and changing the hitter's eye levels.
That was a hard hit ball, gets right past Bassi at third base. Biesecker stays at third, while Nevado is safely at first.
And it looks like he left that curveball hanging up a little in the zone and hit too hard for Biesecker to score there. But now first and third, one out. You got the four-hitter up in the lineup. Going to be very big, another big spot for Raymond. But one thing I saw in the SVU game from Raymond is he got himself into a couple jams where he had runners in scoring position with less than 2 outs, and he was able to get out of all of them as he did not give up a run in that game.
He's checking out his runners at first and third. The first pitch to LaPrade was a low ball. Luckily, Burnett has been great at making sure those balls do not get past him, because the backstop here at Captain Dick Smith Field is way too far back that any runner on third, maybe even second, could easily score on a pass ball.
Definitely. It's a major league backstop, and it's good that you have a good defensive catcher like Bryce Burnett in here, making sure that you can't get out. And you have a hitter right now, Matt LaPrade. He's hitting .415, so another good offensive Bridgewater hitter. .415 on the year, already has a home run, 11 RBIs. Runners in scoring position with no outs. If you're Raymond here, you have to have the confidence to throw that curveball in the dirt against a hitter like that. So it's good that you have a catcher like Bryce Burnett there to be able to make those stops.
A strike down the middle for Raymond. Now it is a 2-1 count against the number 4 hitter for Bridgewater. Haven't seen any movement from Nevado out on first base, acting like he's going to steal. Raymond seems very in on the pitcher or the batter right now.
Very much so, and Raymond is a guy, he's a freshman, but he's definitely a very mature player. Knows where to keep his focus, where to keep his energy, and he knows right now he has a very important batter going up, and he knows to keep the focus there.
LaPrade is staying alive now with a 2-2 count, just fouled one off.
Even in a situation where it's very, very important, I haven't seen Raymond kind of back down from what he's doing, staying true to himself with all his pitches. Even right there, it's a miss, but it's a good miss. It's exactly what he wanted to do with 2 strikes. A little too high for him to chase, but also where Raymond is missing is not in a spot where he's going to get hit up too much. So obviously I expect this to be a high-scoring game, and I expect Raymond to continue to throw strikes and pitch to contact.
And he just struck out LaPrade. What a huge out for Raymond. However, Nevado did make his way to second base. Now there are 2 Bridgewater runners in scoring position, with the senior number 29, JT Creed, walking up to the plate now for Bridgewater.
And a great job by Raymond on that last strikeout, changing eye speeds. We see him go up and away outside on the first one. Then he goes down and in with the fastball. A lot of changes if you're a hitter. That's why he was able to chase on that pitch and get the swing and miss for the second out of the inning.
First pitch to Creed was a little outside for ball 1.
Creed, another Bridgewater hitter. This guy in 14 games so far, hitting .385, 2 doubles, a triple, a home run, 11 RBI. So once again, this Bridgewater lineup so far, not a lot of weak spots.
JT Creed hit that right over Wickman's head out into right field. Munson quick to pick it up, but a little fumble on the throw into second base. Biesecker is able to come in and score, as well as Nevado. So 2 runs just scored there for Bridgewater by the hit from JT Creed.
And so Creed will pick up his 12th and 13th RBIs on the season right there, and did exactly what he needed to do. Fought off a tough pitch from Raymond, looped it. If you're John Raymond, you can't get any unluckier there. That was probably one of the shortest, softest hit 2-run singles you're going to see. But at the end of the day, the outcome is an early 2-0 lead for the Bridgewater Eagles.
Jeffrey Snyder, number 7, up to bat for the Eagles now. Already 1 ball against him from John Raymond. However, as always, he seems very focused and in tune.
Still attacking hitters. Very important thing. Very important thing if you're Coach Ted White. You got a young guy on the mound, gets into a little trouble early. Those are his first 2 runs allowed in his W&L career over either 2 1/3 innings or 7 1/3, depending if you want to count those other innings he pitched. But we'll see how he responds now.
The 1-1 pitch was a little out wide. Now it is a 2-1 against Snyder. Again, Raymond not paying much attention to the runner on first base, but also the runner, JT Creed, does not seem to be making any moves as if he will be stealing. I say that as he takes off for second base. Burnett with a throw down to Volpicelli. However, Creed is called safe. I feel like I jinxed it a little bit there.
Possibly. You never know which one of these guys, sometimes you have guys, especially at the Division III level, sometimes you have guys hitting in the 1 hole who are there because they can get on base a lot and aren't necessarily your speedy guys, and you could have guys hitting in the 4 or 5 hole who can really run.
It's a 2-2 count now against Snyder. Raymond carefully watching Creed now in second base. Popped up by Snyder right to Perkins in left field. Moves a few feet, catches the ball very easily, and now the Generals are going in for their chance at bat. So this broadcast of Generals Athletics is brought to you in part by the Washington and Lee University Store. Owned and operated by W&L, the University Store is located right on campus in Elrod Commons. The store features a wide range of apparel for your game day style. If you're looking for workout gear, we have a variety of performance apparel from Nike and Under Armour. All proceeds go back to the Washington and Lee community, helping to fund athletic and alumni and student programs. The store is open 7 days a week, and you can order anytime online at store.wlu.edu. The store also features a wide range of apparel celebrating W&L, including the Peter Millar Collegiate Collection, offering polos and sweaters. So anything you can think of, find it in the store. All right, James, 1/2 inning down from the Generals against Bridgewater. Early lead by the Eagles, however, not something big that the Generals can't come back from. What are your thoughts as the Generals get ready to swing the bat?
No, absolutely. I mean, I know the Generals have very strong pitching, and that's been their strong suit this year, but I expect this to be a pretty high-scoring game with the way Bridgewater and Washington and Lee has been playing lately. Obviously, the Generals had a very high-scoring game yesterday, kind of thanks to some of the lackluster play on defense, and then how, of course, the Generals were really hitting the ball. And, of course, we see Bridgewater had a loss yesterday, but they put up a lot of runs too. So I think we're looking at a shootout, but I think and we saw it even with John Raymond in that first inning. He was missing some spots a little bit, but he really didn't get hit too hard. There was the first single by your ODAC at batting average leader who hit a pretty hard single to right, but the second 2 guys just kind of hit bloop singles right over it, and just by nature of how baseball works sometimes, that gave up 2 runs. But I expect, if not this inning, I expect more than enough time for the Generals to put some runs on the board. I think we're looking at a high-scoring game. You got Jackson Gazen here leading off, who has gotten off to a very strong start in the season. At one point, his average was up in the 700s. Now it's kind of come back down to earth, back down to baseball reality, hitting .391 so far. And he's DHing today, having some struggles in the field, but always a good presence to have at the top of your lineup, and a very, very fast kid, too.
Most definitely. First pitch he swung, and that got past Talley, the shortstop for the Bridgewater Eagles, out to Biesecker in left field. So Jackson Gazen, first pitch on base. Generals have a base runner right off the bat, quite literally.
And Gazen, very interesting. I mean, some of his hits early on in the season that got his average up were on kind of slow nibblers where his speed got him going, and he got lucky sometimes. But then as he went on in the season and started to hit the ball hard, he would start hitting it right at people and getting unlucky. So sometimes when you're playing baseball, sometimes you could do the right thing, get the wrong result, and the opposite happens. I'll bring up the freshman Zach Perkins, who's off to a pretty decent start too this year.
Just talking about Gazen's speed, he just took off for second and is safe. Now the Generals also have a runner in scoring position very early on. That was a called strike against Perkins, the left-handed hitter up for the Generals now.
Gazen, great jump there, used his speed, didn't even have a chance. He was already finished with the slide by the time that throw got in there.
A ball thrown by the freshman pitcher Cleaver for the Eagles. And to go through their field setup at this moment, you have Montgomery behind the plate, Dudley at first, Navedo playing second, Talley on short, Snyder playing third base, and then the outfield, LaPrade in right, Grable holding it down in center, and Biesecker out in left.
Cleaver, the freshman, this is his third career start already, getting some innings in. Through 13 1/3 innings, he's given up 3 hits. He's 1-on-1 in the season, striking out 10 batters, and 1-1 record on the season, a 4.73 ERA so far.
Cleaver is definitely keeping an eye on Gazen, and there is a passed ball as he takes off for third. 2-2 count now against Perkins, but like we were talking about earlier, those low balls can easily get away from the catcher like it just got away from Montgomery, and base runners have a free base.
Absolutely. I think in the case there with Gazen, who's already getting a pretty good secondary lead off of it, the second that ball was in the dirt, he was gone. He was going to be on the third. But for other runners that aren't as quick as him, that's when it becomes a factor. And I think you see here, Gazen's speed is already distracting the young freshman pitcher, probably the difference between him and John Raymond. And already you have a chance to get one of those runs back.
A low ball called for full count now against Perkins, the first year. Currently playing out in left field. He already saw some action pretty early on from the Bridgewater offense, and now it's his time to give them a little something to do in the outfield. That
Good.
Was a ball fouled back by Perkins, still a full count.
Good job by Perkins fouling that ball off. Probably up left corner of the zone. Probably a strike, and does a good job staying alive there, doing all he can with that pitch. Perkins off to a good start this season, hitting .367 in 49 at-bats. He's got himself 4 doubles, a triple, and 14 RBIs so far. Looking for his 15th right here.
Another ball fouled right back into the backstop is still a full count, but he is definitely battling against Cleaver.
I mean, that's what you want to do if you're these Generals hitters. It's going to be it's going to be a high-scoring game. If you can keep making these pitchers work when they execute their pitches on the corners of the zones and you foul them off, just waiting for them to make a mistake that you can capitalize off of.
Ooh, and he was caught looking. That is a strikeout for Cleaver against Zach Perkins.
Almost looks like it froze Perkins a little there. That pitch kind of looked too good to take with 2 strikes, but you still got a man on third with 1 out. I would be very surprised if the Generals don't at least get 1 back here. Volpicelli, a ground ball or a long enough fly ball will cut the lead in half early on here. Volpicelli, one of the best hitters on this Generals team this year. He's hitting .351 and 57 at-bats, got 20 hits, 10 RBIs so far. Very tough guy to pitch to.
Definitely. He is leading the Generals in hits right now with 20 hits. So despite that first strike on him right now, you can expect to see a lot of good action coming from Volpicelli today.
Volpicelli, a very, very good fastball hitter. Starts him there with the curveball to get in the zone 0-1, probably taken all the way. Now Volp looking for something he could drive. And interesting, I'm looking at the outfield alignment right here. Volpicelli, a guy who's got a lot of power to left center field. And the way they're playing him, there's a huge gap out there in left center, probably way too big. Obviously, you can't, as a hitter, you can't control exactly where you're spraying the ball, but definitely don't have the scouting report right there.
I definitely agree. That gap definitely looks appealing to Volpicelli as he pops it out to left field. Biesecker not having to do a whole lot to move under that ball, but that was enough to let Gazen come in and score. So another RBI for Jason Volpicelli, as the Generals now have 2 outs but have scored 1 run, closing the gap slowly between them and the Eagles now to only 2-1.
And them getting it done a little differently than the Eagles did in that first inning. The Eagles did it with 3 singles and some running on the base paths. There we saw Gazen a single, a stolen base, a pass ball, and a sac fly. Playing a little small ball here, but doing what they can to cut the lead in half. Now 2 outs, see if the Generals can get something started. You got your power hitter Ryan Munson up at the bat, hitting .277 this year, a little dip from his .360 average last year, but a guy who can hit the ball for a lot of power. I think we saw in another game just recently, just missed his first home run of the year at the warning track. He's a guy that can put one over the right field fence here.
Already with his first pitch, he was swinging and fouled that way behind the backstop, behind the press box. So although it's an 0-1 count, he is showing off his power very early here. Now Cleaver not having to worry about any runners. He can focus in on Munson. However, that, I believe, was called a ball for a 1-1 count now against Munson.
Looks like it just missed the inside corner there. Good eye by Ryan Munson. Looking at his count now, trying to get something going here with just 2 outs.
Another ball by Cleaver, 2-1 again, or 2-1 count against Ryan Munson.
Munson now getting ahead in the count, looking for something he can drive.
Barely went foul, that hit right there. Now a 2-2 count. That was deep into left field, though, barely left of the foul line.
Munson definitely made some very good contact on that one. Just missed, probably having himself a double there if that one could have stayed straight and stayed fair.
And again, almost the exact same placement. That was hit out into left field, just left of the foul line. Almost a little farther that time, though. So you can tell he's really, really trying. He just needs to hit the ball a little more square. And that, like James said, that could easily be a double.
Same pitch, same swing, same result. We'll see if he can get the timing right on this one.
All right, great eye by Munson is now a 3-2 count as Cleaver just threw one almost right where his eyes were.
Munson definitely not swinging at that one. That one way up in the zone. Gives him a 3-2 count.
Another ball fouled back straight behind him.
Big swing there. That one a fastball, probably middle end. You could tell Munson really wanted to do some damage on that one. Timing just a little off there. Bryce Burnett, another senior catcher on deck, another guy who can hit for some power. So be interesting to see if the Generals can muster up another run here with 2 outs. Now a 3-2 full count. Payoff pitch here to Munson.
And Munson just got walked, so he is taking his free base as he trots down the line. Cleaver looking to the dugout for some advice, some encouragement maybe.
Be interesting to see here. Ryan Munson, a guy second on the team in steals. He's 6 for 7 in steal attempts. He's a guy here. This is a situation, 2 outs. Maybe get a guy in scoring position so a single can score and tie the game. If not, you just have Bryce Burnett up again. So I think we're definitely looking at a steal situation here. We'll see if they pull the trigger. And it looks like they've got that same scouting report and understand the situation.
Already, Cleaver is throwing over to Dudley at first base as if he's telling Munson, I'm watching you. You better not go anywhere.
We'll see what Munson has to say about that, getting a big leadoff right here. There he goes.
It looked like he got under the tag, and he did. He is safe at second base. The Generals have yet another runner in scoring position with a ball against Bryce Burnett. Kind of the best case scenario for the Generals there.
Definitely. Throw a little short there, but what we saw, Munson picked a good pitch to run on. First pitch curveball, not much you can do on a guy like that to get him.
Cleaver now carefully watching Munson even more now as he throws into Burnett.
Looks like that one fouled off Burnett's leg. They're going to call it foul. I would be shocked if Munson were to run here. No point in trying to get over to third with 2 outs when you got a good hitter up. Outfield playing a little deep for a situation where on a single you want to cut a guy off at home, but we'll see what happens. Burnett here, a single would most likely tie the game. Burnett hitting .282 on the season in 39 at-bats, 11 hits, 11 runs, 3 doubles, and just this past weekend had his first career home run.
His first career home run.
Indeed.
Huge. You know, he must be riding that wave now, hoping for a similar outcome now. Another ball by Cleaver now is a 2-1 count.
Cleaver throwing a lot of curveballs early on in this game and a lot of fastball counts, but not for strikes. So that's what's kind of held him back so far in this inning. How the Generals have been able to muster up some runners on base.
Burnett sent that ball right into that gap in left center field that we mentioned before. Munson able to round third and score, and Burnett is safely standing on top of second base.
Bryce Burnett, a heck of a season he's having this weekend, gets his first career home run right there, an RBI double. That'll tie the game. Fastball in on his hands. He kept those hands in, and he put a line drive into that huge left center field gap. Burnett on a left center field line drive. He took a big turnaround second, which showed how far away they were from going anywhere near that ball. The second that ball was hit, you knew this was a tie ball game. And now Brian Wickman hitting .317 on the season, having himself a good sophomore season after moving to first base. See if he can get the Generals a lead early on.
And first pitch happened to hit Brian Wickman right in the side. So now the Generals have a runner on first and second base as Colin Levy comes up to bat. Not the most comfortable way of getting a base, but honestly, my viewpoint when I played softball, if they're going to throw it at me, I might as well wear it and take the free base.
Absolutely, and I think Brian Wickman was totally okay with that. He threw a curveball there, so if you're going to get hit by something, you might as well get hit by something off speed. Honestly, that's one of the worst feelings when you're a pitcher, when you're a righty thrown against a righty, and you just feel that curveball slip out of your hands, and you know it's going to hit the batter. You're going to get a free base runner. It's not even going to do any damage. It's a tough feeling to do that. But now the Generals got 2 on and 2 outs, and like we were saying earlier, we expected this to be a high-scoring game, and within 5 minutes, scores already tied up.
Cleaver does seem to be a bit rattled. The coach came out to the mound to give a little pep talk with the whole team minus the outfield.
His ERA going into this game about a 4.71, probably somewhere in the 5s now.
Umpire going out there now to tell him to wrap it up.
Colin Levy, the freshman coming up, not a very huge sample size, played 7 games, 24 at-bats. He's hitting .167, so a big spot for him to see if he can finally get that bat going, get some maybe give the Generals a lead here and get that confidence up.
James, I'm sorry, we are at a baseball game. Can you not bring sample size into this conversation, giving me statistics, PTSD here?
Stats is the name of the game in baseball.
Cleaver looking around at his runners on base as he's throwing in to Levy for first pitch is a ball. Dangerous
idea by the catcher there with a runner on second to try and scoop a fastball that far out of the strike zone. If you're a catcher, you got to get into a blocking position. Just purely lazy move, but for him to do that in this kind of a spot in a tie game. Uh-oh.
Cleaver went to go keep Wickman in check at first. However, his first baseman, Dudley, was not covering the bag. That ball went straight back towards the Generals' dugout. Dudley went chasing, and Burnett was able to go right to third base with Wickman following him to second.
Easily got into third. You saw him. He was thinking about scoring. The throw didn't get far enough away, and probably some sloppy play there. Probably during the mound visit, they probably drew a play up. And I guess something went wrong where there's a little bit of miscommunication, not able to pick him off at first. Instead, now runners on second and third.
All right, and Levy just fouled that ball right back over the bleachers on the left side of the field. Now it is a 1-1 count.
Levy making some pretty strong contact on that play there. Swing looks good, even for a kid. Only hitting 167, but he's a young guy. Got hurt in the first game of the season this year, but now he's back and then on the lineup looking to do some damage.
Another hard hit foul ball way over the dugout of the Bridgewater Eagles. Levy again showing his power here with a 1-2 count. You can tell he is eager to get those runners in.
Big situation for the young kid. A single here, give the Generals a 2-run lead after going down 2 earlier in this inning.
Right up the middle, over the head of Cleaver. That ball reaches center field. Burnett scores, and Brian Wickman easily follows behind as Grable, the Eagle center fielder, did not even try to throw them out at home.
And all of this started with the 2-out walk on an account that was originally 1-2 to Ryan Munson. One of the things, if you're a pitcher that drives pitching coaches crazy, is 2-out walks and what they do. Now you have 3 runs after getting 2 pretty quick outs in this inning and another man on base. The Generals right now might be able to bat through the lineup already in this first inning. And just 5-6 minutes ago, there was talk that they went down early and it wasn't looking so great. Right now, already a 2-run lead.
As we have seen him do with the past several runners before throwing a first pitch into the batter, Cleaver tries to send a warning to the runner on first base. However, Levy was very safe standing there, and Salvino anxiously awaits his first pitch, but Cleaver once again throws it over to first base, and once again Levy is still safe.
Smart's probably not a terrible idea, even though when you're a pitcher that's struggling, you want to focus on the hitter. It definitely is a steal situation, and Levy's taking a pretty big lead still over there off first.
There's 2 outs, and Cleaver once again throwing over to first base. Levy safely diving back in. Mitchell Salvino still waiting on his first pitch.
Salvino came into the year expecting to be the starting center fielder, but some really bad sickness early on, and has only played in 5 games so far, but already up to a .333 average. So he swings a good bat, plays some good defense, already has himself 2 doubles and an RBI. So expect for Mitchell Salvino to be a guy that you expect to get a lot of at-bats and playing time going forward in this season.
The 6-2 first year just fouled off his first pitch out into left field, pulled that ball a little hard. Cleaver again checking Levy at first base. Those white uniforms don't stay white for very long here for the Generals.
They do not. That's what happens when you're playing hard. And for the Generals right now, one of the big things they're doing, they're being so active on the base pass that with a young pitcher like Cleaver, he's getting distracted, missing spots. Giving away with the pitch out there. It'll make it a 1-1 count. Really, really expecting Levy to run, but obviously when you're a pitcher and you're focused so much on the runners, it starts to get in your head. You start to lose a little focus. Next thing you know, you miss up, you miss in a little, and the Generals start to hit the ball, as we saw with Bryce Burnett and Jackson Gazin.
Levy had to scramble to get back to the base the last time, but this time easily walks back as Cleaver throws it down for another ball, 2-1 against Salvino.
Cleaver guy, he's got some nice stuff thrown in the lower to mid 80s today. Got a nice slider, but for him so far, it's been able to, can he locate those pitches? He hasn't really been able to do so well, probably because he's a little bit distracted by the runners on base, and the Generals are, and also the fact that the Generals are a team that have been able to fight off these at-bats and keep them going so well.
After checking Levy once again, Cleaver is ready to throw in another pitch to Salvino. That is a strike. Salvino gave it a big swing, barely missed that ball for a 2-2 count.
Good pitch there by Cleaver, the 2-seamer in on Salvino's hands. Not much you can do there but tie him up.
It's a 2-2 count with 2 outs against the Generals here. Let's see what Cleaver does. Salvino hits it right back up the middle. That ball floating right into where he wanted it to be. Levy advances to second. Salvino safely on first.
That'll be the 4th hit of the inning for the Generals and their 6th runner on base. That'll bring up Chapin Basie, the sophomore walk-on, hitting just 200 early on in the season, but he's a guy that can really hit in his senior year of high school, hit .550 in Class A in New Hampshire. So he's a guy that this team expects to hit a lot and hasn't gotten it going early on in his first year playing college baseball, but a kid that's looking to get it going as we move on in this season.
Basie has definitely worked hard in practices in the offseason for his position here in the starting lineup. First strike against him now for an 0-1 count, but he does not seem worried at all.
Chapin, basically, really great story. Freshman year, this is all the way back in the fall of 2017. Tries to walk on, but there was no spots available as he pops that one up into left.
Leby quickly rounds third to cross the plate, but not before it was caught by the Bridgewater outfield to wrap up the first inning.
Good job by the shortstop there. That was hit really high up there, kind of up in that Bermuda triangle in between the third baseman, shortstop, and left fielder. Shortstop does the textbook play, calls everyone off, takes charge, and ends the damage there. But the General, not before the Generals could go up 4-2 in that inning. A huge inning to go down. Now John Raymond's coming in, and now all of a sudden you're pitching with a lead. So it'll be really interesting to see what he does there. He has pitched with a lead before in a lot of relief situations. There was one game the Generals came back with 7 runs in the bottom of the 8th inning, and they had John Raymond came in there and closed out a 1-run game. So we'll see now. What can he do with the lead? Obviously, this is a game where I think we're expecting to see a lot of other senior pitchers throw, but we'll see how far Raymond can go in this game and if he can really prove himself, as he's been doing this entire year, to show that he's going to be one of those top pitchers in this Generals rotation and bullpen.
Back with the Generals hosting the Bridgewater Eagles here at Captain Dick Smith Field. The sun has come out for the top of the second inning here, as Montgomery, the junior catcher for the Eagles, is now up to bat. That was a ball by John Raymond against Montgomery. However, like we said before, normally takes Raymond a few pitches, but he is in there and he makes it very hard for Bridgewater to get on base. That was another ball, 2-0 count.
Raymond, a little bit of hiccups in that first inning, but he's a guy that once he gets going, real tough guy to hit. We'll see if he can get a big inning for him after the long wait in the dugout. Looking to see if he can keep this lead.
That one hit the dirt in front of the plate and went back behind Burnett. Luckily, no base runners were on base, so no damage done. Just a 3-0 count against Montgomery.
Tanner Montgomery played in 8 games, not as many games as some of the other players in the lineup this year, but through 8 games so far, 20 at-bats, hitting 300 and has 4 RBIs himself. So there's yet to be a Bridgewater player with an under 300 average, so Raymond probably cognizant of that as he goes to throw in this game, but as long as he limits the damage in this game and throws strikes and eats up innings, that's the job that the Generals need done with, I think, the amount of runs that we're probably going to see them put up on the board today.
Already, Raymond has bounced back with a strike down the middle, and then Montgomery just fouled one off right behind him, so now we have a full count.
Always good to see from a young pitcher who can stay mentally tough, start on off a count 3-0, get back to 3-2, and now pitcher's in favor.
And Raymond caught Montgomery looking. That is a strikeout for John Raymond as Montgomery slowly walks back to his dugout.
How do you like that? Absolutely nasty. Upper 80s with some movement, low and outside corner. Montgomery doesn't like the call, but from up here it looked like he nicked that outside corner. Not much you could do if you're a hitter watching that pitch go by. Perfect execution by Raymond on the 3-2.
Dudley, the Bridgewater first baseman, now up to bat. First pitch thrown to him was indeed a strike. He just let that one go by, but got to get a feel for the pitcher, your first at bat.
Dudley, the young freshman first baseman, so far played in 5 games this year. All of them pinch hitting opportunities. He's 0 for 5 so far. So this his first start, his first big chance in his career. So we'll see freshman on freshman. Raymond, obviously, that with a little bit more experience. Raymond, through an inning and a third, already 3 strikeouts, so starting to rack those up.
The 1-1 pitch to Dudley was another ball. It's now 1-2.
Just missed there. Honestly, that looked like the exact same pitch that he got the strikeout on, so not too much consistency there.
One thing we've seen from Raymond, he's definitely all over the strike zone, so keeps the batters guessing, and that's for sure.
I mean, he's a smart pitcher, a very, very intelligent kid. And from what I've seen from him, he knows how to work the strike zone, how to change batters' eye levels, change speeds, and keep them off balance and not allow them to get too comfortable ever in the strike zone.
The 3-1 pitch was another ball as Dudley is able to take his free base as he runs down to first. So now we have 1 out for the Generals. The Eagles have a runner on base, not quite in scoring position quite yet. And the center fielder, Jacob Grable, is up to bat.
And so that was John Raymond's first walk of the game so far. That'll bring up Jacob Grable, only hitting .206 on the season so far through 12 games and 34 at-bats. Does have himself 3 RBIs. I think Grable, probably more of a defensive specialist in this lineup, that is really just touts having a ton of offensive production.
John Raymond immediately bounced back from that walk with a strike down the middle to Grable. However, another ball to make the count 1-1. Again, not paying much attention to the runner on first base. He is very zoned in on the batter in front of him right now, which could be to his advantage, or the Eagles can take advantage of that and potentially move some runners around. Pass ball right through Burnett's legs as Dudley is able to take second base. Not much you can do in that situation. He was in a blocking position, and the ball just got right under him.
Looks like it just took a kind of a funny hop, but obviously Raymond, a guy throwing hard, when you throw a fastball in the dirt like that, not super easy if you're a catcher. And Ted White already out to talk to Raymond, see if they can all get on the same page. An early mound visit for Raymond.
Just a 2-1 count against Grable. Raymond seems to be zeroing in on where he needs to be. Already got that strikeout from Montgomery. The walk, not the best thing in the world when you're a pitcher, but I think there could be worse things.
I mean, one of the things that he's probably telling Raymond right here is that, look, you have a very, very strong lineup outside of the 8 and 9 hitters. These are the guys that you really, really need to attack, because with the stuff that Raymond, he's probably telling Raymond, you got to trust your stuff. You probably have the stuff to blow these hitters out of the water as long as you're keeping it in the zone. And if he does that, I think he gets an 8-9 hitter out who, one, has no college career hits, one's hitting 200, and is probably more of a defensive specialist. So these are the guys you want to get ahead of and get out before you have to face that tough front of the lineup.
Ted White making his way back to the dugout as the Generals take their positions out on the field once again. Raymond on the mound and ready to throw pitch number 4 to Grable.
See if Raymond can keep this a 2-run lead as he faces Grable and then a tough top of the lineup.
A strike by Raymond. Now it is a 2-2 count.
Must have listened to whatever Coach White had to tell him. Upper mid-80s right there, right at the knees. Not much you could do there if you're a 9-hitter against Raymond.
Keeping an eye out on Dudley on second base. Refocusing in on Grable.
Good pitch there by Raymond, just in on the hands. Not much you could do. You could see that Grable thought about it. Tough, hard fastball with a lot of inner movement. He swings at that. It's either a strikeout or a bloop to the second baseman.
Full count now. Raymond throwing in the final pitch. Almost exactly the same pitch we just saw. Once again, called a ball as Grable follows up on the walk of Dudley with his own walk. Now there's a runner on first and second base for the Eagles as they go back to the top of their lineup with Jarrett Biesecker.
Just misses inside there, and we've seen Raymond, probably not the usual command that he has out there today, but he's got the stuff to get by, and one of the things that he does so well is that when he does miss pitches, he misses in places where batters are not going to take advantage of it and cause too much damage.
Some great defense by Bryce Burnett behind the plate there, jumping out to make sure that that ball does not get behind him. That is a ball against Jarrett Biesecker, but the runners stay in place at first and second base.
Raymond has walked the first 2 hitters in this inning. Now the tying run on base, and we see some movement up over there in the right field bullpen.
Biesecker took that right to the right of center field. You have Salvino thrown that into Burnett to keep Dudley from advancing to home. So bases loaded here for the Eagles. Solid hit by Biesecker. However, no damage done on the scoreboard. It is still 2-4 with Tally coming up to bat.
This right here, a very, very big challenge for him. And, of course, before we talk about that, Mitchell Salvino did a really, really good job. First of all, getting a good jump on that ball, getting it on one hop, and then releasing it almost immediately as he has it, all in one motion, very fluid, to make sure that there wasn't a chance of them scoring a run here. But obviously right now, as Raymond deals the fastball in the outside corner for an 0-1, in a very, very big spot here. Bases loaded, no outs, up by 2. You got the tying and go-ahead run on base with the heart of the Bridgewater order up, guys who are hitting all in the upper 300s and lower 400s. So if you're Raymond, got to bear down here.
Another hard hit ball out to left as Perkins chases it, but it falls just over the wall. That would be a 4-run home run grand slam, if you will, by the number two hitter, Jacob Talley. That brings our score 6-4 with the Eagles ahead of the Generals. However, we saw last inning the Generals came back from that 2-run deficit, so still very early in the game, only the top of the second inning. But you can tell Raymond is feeling a little rattled as Burnett goes out there to give him a little talk.
Talley puts up his second home run on the season. That'll put him up to 17 RBIs on the year. Usually in baseball today that we see now with all these more analytical sides, they put their best hitter in the number 2 hole. And we saw right there, Raymond, hard fastball, a lot moving in, but probably left it just over enough in the middle that he could get his hands in and send it over the fence. I think the thing we're seeing with John Raymond today is he probably does not have his usual control. And when you do that, you get behind in counts, you walk hitters you shouldn't be walking, and then eventually you leave a ball up to a really good hitter, and now we got a 6-4 ball game.
Second baseman Kevin Nevado is now up. He pops the second pitch to him straight up in the air. Bulbacelli gets right under it to ensure that that is an out for the Generals.
Good job by Raymond there, bouncing back after the grand slam. A lot of times, young bet players can unravel after a big grand slam, as we saw right there. But he's still attacking hitters, even though he probably, from what we're seeing, probably doesn't have his best stuff today. But he's going to attack, bear down here, as we see Ted White kind of just gave Nate Cohen over there in the bullpen the hurry it up sign. So I think Cohen's probably coming in sooner rather than later in this game. John Raymond came into this game without allowing a college run. 2 innings later, he's got 6 of them. So not the greatest day for Raymond so far, but we'll see how much he can toughen out and keep this a close game.
So far, there are 2 balls against LaPrade, the number 3 hitter for the Eagles. No runners on to distract John Raymond. He is zeroed in on LaPrade. Another ball for a 3-0 count. I'm sure seeing someone doing work in the bullpen doesn't really calm your nerves, and he has a pitcher.
Sometimes if you're a pitcher, it kind of gets you going.
There we go, a strike for John Raymond right down the middle, 3-1 count.
But I think, honestly, if White probably wants to use Raymond in later games, and if you're a coach and you see that you got a really talented pitcher on the mound who maybe just doesn't have his stuff out there someday, not so much in the regular season, early on in the regular season does this happen, but sometimes giving him an earlier nod so that you could use him for more innings later on in a day where he does have his good stuff.
It is now 3-2 against LaPrade. He hits it really hard out to right field. Munson diving to catch it, however, barely misses it. LaPrade is on first base. Minimal damage done against the Generals here. Munson going all out for that ball, but those are just so hard to catch.
That one probably just not hit hard enough for Munson to be able to get there. Good job, but sometimes those in-betweeners can get a little dangerous. Once he realized he couldn't get it, got in a good blocking position to keep that a single. And that looks like it'll do it on the day for John Raymond, as Nate Cohen will come into this game. And that's a day for John Raymond. An inning and 2/3, gave up 6 hits, walked 2, gave up 6 runs, 4 of them coming on the grand slam. And that'll do it for the second career start of Mr. John Raymond, as Nate Cohen comes into this game to try and hold the lead at 2.
we're back here with Nate Cohen on the mound as he faces number 29, JT Creed of the Eagles.
Nate Cohen, a guy who's had a lot of success in his career as a reliever coming into tight, important games. We'll see if he can continue that here.
Creed is the DH here for the Eagles, so we can expect some big hits from him for him to have this spot in the lineup. Already LaPrade is still on first, but there are indeed 2 outs and 1 ball against Creed as LaPrade takes off for second base. Creed pops it up straight in the air. Once again, Bulbacelli tracking it down and easily catching that fly ball to get the 3rd out for the Generals.
Bulbacelli having a good little day over there, catching a lot of pop-ups, making sure the damage is limited for the Generals. Nate Cohen gets out of the jam here as the Generals keep it a 6-4 game. And obviously Creed there had the 2-run single in the first inning. Can't get anything done there, the Generals. Once again, just like the bottom of the first, they go into the bottom of the second. Down 2 runs. We'll be back in a minute to see if they can continue that trend.
We are back with the top of the Generals lineup here in the bottom of the second inning. And Jackson Gazin, the DH sophomore for the Generals, taking his place in the left batter's box, facing Hunter Clever, the freshman pitcher for the Eagles.
It's almost like nothing happened in that bottom of the first inning, as now Gazin, the leadoff hitter, is back up to hit, and the Generals once again down by 2 runs, but now Nate Cohen on the mound. We'll see, can the Generals muster something up again? And the last time at bat, Gazin hit a line drive single to left field between the shortstop and the third baseman, stole a base, got a run, got to third base on a pass ball, and then eventually scored on the sac fly. We'll see if Gazin, the leadoff guy, can start up something here. Gazin having a little word with the umpire. Interesting thing.
1-1 count against Gazin now. Not the worst as Clever throws it in. Gazin lays down a bunt down the third base line. However, again, showcasing his speed as he easily makes it to first base.
How do you like that? Nothing you can do. A perfectly laid down bunt for a hit there by Gazin. Honestly, if you're the pitcher there and you see a guy with that speed, you don't make that throw, as Gazin was already halfway past first base by the time that throw was made. You're lucky that you make a good throw there, because if that ball gets into the outfield, Gazin standing on third base with no outs. Now, again, we'll see if he's off and running, showing off those wheels.
Zach Perkins up to bat now for the Generals. However, per usual, Clever checking the runner at first with the throw over to Dudley. However, Gazin's just chilling on first base, not making too many moves.
Gazin, a guy, honestly, looking, he's not taking a huge lead, probably because he doesn't really need it. He also knows that they're paying a lot of attention to him, so he's going to get that lead when he feels comfortable, and I see him going at some point. But also, I think if you're the Generals and you're hitting the ball like you are today, you know that you want to keep some pressure up on the base pass just to keep him distracted and get him to miss spots. But you also know you really don't have to do so much, because you know that your hitters are going to hit, and you don't want to waste some of your at-bats by getting guys thrown out on the base pass.
Caught a little far off that time. Gazin had to scamper back to first base. However, once again, he is safe. 1 pitch so far to Perkins. It was a ball, so 1-0 count, as Clever can't seem to make up his mind to where he's going to throw it to first or home.
Little hit and run there. Gazin probably had the second base there if Perkins hadn't have swung, but a good pitch there for Perkins to swing on. Probably his timing just a little bit off on that. If he had hit that in the gap, Gazen easily scores.
Just a foul ball there for Perkins. A little warm-up swing is now 1-1. As Clever is really staring down Perkins. However, he throws it over to first base once again. Gazen standing on top of the bag with his hands on his hips as if he's been there the entire time.
This already a very, very long and drawn-out baseball game so far, and Clever not really helping out with the amount of attention that he's paying to some of these runners. Gazen look like he's leaning now, and he's going.
Montgomery throws the ball down to second base, however, is a little off to the right. Gazen easily able to slide into second base.
Not even close. That'll be Gazen's second stolen base on the day, his 15th on the year. Generals already 3 stolen bases in this game and a 2-1 count. Generals ahead in the count here. Got a runner in scoring position, no outs. Already they are back in business trying to score some runs here.
2-1.
Like I said, this is probably going to be a very, very high scoring and a very long game here in Lexington.
2-1 count against Perkins now. As he swings yet again, fouls out off far, far past the Eagles dugout, out into the trees, almost hit a light post.
It's going to be a tough find over there for who's ever got to go and get that one.
2-2 now. You can hear the national anthem in the background as the men's lacrosse team is gearing up to take Gettysburg out on Watt Field.
Zach Perkins hitting .370 on the year so far, looking to get that average a little up here. A single probably scores Gazen if you're the outfield. They're playing pretty far back right now, but honestly, if a single comes, you probably don't even expect to try and get Gazen out at the plate. Rather, just try and make sure more play, no doubles defense. Is that one hit into the gap going to be trouble?
It's a blooper right in between, like you said before, Bermuda Triangle. I love that term. It was right between the left fielder, center fielder, and the shortstop. The catch was made, and Perkins was out, and Jackson Gazen is still left on second base as Jason Volpicelli, one of the top hitters for the Generals, is walking up to have his second at-bat here. Last time he did have a sacrifice fly, so let's see what he's going to do now.
This time Volpicelli will need a little more. Gazen standing on second base with 1 out. Same situation we saw last time before a pass ball, and the at-bat to Volpicelli got Gazen over to third. We'll see if Gazen's moving here with 1 out. A lot of attention being paid to that runner on second base. Going to be interesting to see. Volpicelli, a very good fastball hitter. The Generals have hit his fastball very well today. We'll see if possibly a sort of line drive single, that's all Volpicelli needs here to cut the lead in half.
First pitch to Volpicelli from Clever is indeed a strike.
Took a little off that one, only 67 on the curveball. Usually he's been in the lower to mid 70s today with that curveball, but kind of dropped the hook there. Got Volpicelli looking.
Gazen staying close to second base, but not too close. Clever, unsure what to do. Decides to pitch to Volpicelli, who pulls that out to left field. However, that did go foul, almost into the Eagles' bullpen.
Volpicelli put a good swing on that one, just a little out in front. Clever starting to drop in some slower curveballs now. Volpicelli, with the ball in like that, there's not too much you can do but pull it hard and pull it foul. Volpicelli ahead in the count here, 0-2. He'll look to shorten up, make contact, see if he could spray something somewhere.
Clever, as always, taking his time. That was a ball high. Volpicelli not even flinching at that pitch. Staying disciplined in the box is what is going to help the Generals fill that 2-run deficit there with Gazen still on second base. Volpicelli anxiously awaiting his next pitch.
Takes that one again, now a 2-2 count, and something the Generals have done very, very well is continue to have very strong plate discipline and fouling off a lot of pitches that they can't do too much with, and looking at pitches that are taken outside for balls. And I think they've really made Clever throw a lot of pitches early on in this game. Only threw an inning and a third, and I believe his pitch count's already probably up somewhere in the 30s or 40s.
According to the live stats, that was his 45th pitch that Volpicelli was able to take right into center field, dropping right in front of Grable. However, Jackson Gazin using his speed to round third base and slide into home just in time to score another Generals run as Volpicelli is able to stand on top of second base.
Great job there, Volpicelli. Great two-strike hitting, keeping it short line drive up the middle. Good effort by the outfielder, but the second that ball got down, you knew that Jackson Gazin was going to score. And now, once again, now you have an out, or 2 outs, runner in scoring position with less than 2 outs. Ryan Munson, one of the better hitters on this team, can tie it up once again. I feel like every Generals game that I broadcast just goes back and forth and back and forth. You got high-scoring games, long games, and very fun games to watch, though. If you're a fan, obviously, beautiful day out. We've got a pretty decent crowd on hand.
Definitely entertaining, as we also have some of the football staff out here. We found out before the game started that the quarterback for the Generals football team is also a walk-on for the baseball team this season.
Yep, Luke Ziebel recently was hurt in a collision at home plate. And so Drew Richardson, the Generals quarterback, is now walking onto the team and serving as pretty much a bullpen catcher as Munson gets that one up the middle.
Volpicelli rounding third base, however, hard stop as he goes back to third. Munson able to easily take his place on second base.
Smart play by Volpicelli there, knowing that you have Bryce Burnett on deck, a very, very good hitter. Big country. You got to love this guy, Bubba. And he's a great, great hitter. He's very, very hot. Had his first career home run over the weekend. Had a huge, huge double in this game that eventually gave the Generals a lead. And now Coach will come out to talk to Clever in a very, very big situation for this Generals team.
The Generals got that timing down as we saw both hits that we just saw back-to-back right up the middle. As the Generals were able to take advantage of Clever kind of slacking. He just reached 50 pitches, so still a little bit in him left to go if the coach decides to keep him in.
Maybe a situation, too, where the bullpen guy just started throwing, and maybe you want to give him a little bit of time as he's taking his time, as you see, as the umpire's kind of coming up and telling Coach to hurry it up. But giving the guy in the bullpen a little bit of more time to throw is Clever, trying to catch his breath. A huge at-bat here. 2 runners in scoring position with 1 out. Bryce Burnett, a very, very hot hitter right now at the plate. All he needs is contact somewhere long, and you got yourself a tie game again. So big at-bat here for Big Country.
The umpire did, however, just point over to the Eagles bullpen as it appears that Warren Garber, the sophomore pitcher for Bridgewater, actually from Bridgewater, Virginia,
hometown kid,
is coming in to take a few warm-up pitches in place of Hunter Clever.
We will go to break as he starts dealing his warm-up pitches. But a big situation coming up for the Washington and Lee Generals. Down a run with 1 out. Runners on second and third. Bryce Burnett at the bat. We'll be back in a minute.
All right, and we are back as Garber took his warm-up pitches. Bryce Burnett getting back in the box.
Warren Garber, third on the team in ERA through 11 innings. He's pitched in 4 games this year, 2 starts, 3.27 ERA, and coming in a big spot trying to hold on the lead for Bridgewater.
Volpicelli so anxiously on third base, Munson standing on second. Both of them wanting to get home, and now that there's only one run keeping them from tying the game with the Eagles at this time.
Contact will probably do it here for Burnett.
A foul ball by Burnett.
That one got into the dugout there and popped right out. Kenny Hartzell with some quick reflexes, getting out of the way of that one.
0-2 count against Burnett.
Burnett here quickly down in the count 0-2. Big situation here. Can't strike out with one out and runners in scoring position.
He pops that up right to where the first baseman Dudley was standing for an easy second out for the Eagles.
That's exactly what you wanted if you're Warren Garber. An important out to get in that spot without allowing any of the runners to advance. Now Brian Wickman. Huge situation from here. Wickman hitting .317 coming into this game. 2 runners on, both in scoring position, 2 outs, down by 1, a single with the speedy Ryan Munson on second base. Probably gives the Generals a lead. If not, Generals go end the inning down a run. Huge spot here for Wickman.
First pitch was a ball to Wickman. Last time his first pitch hit him, so, already off to a better start for Wickman. Maybe actually he gets to swing the bat this time.
And Wickman can hitting .317 on the year. Big improvements this year on the bat. Coach White moving him over to first base to get him in the lineup a little more.
That hit right to Snyder at third base, who throws across to first, and Wickman just barely gets out, a step away from first base as the Eagles close out this second inning, keeping the score 6-5 in favor of the Eagles.
We'll be back in a minute as we go through the top of the third. The Generals down a run. It is 6-5 Bridgewater.
Back here with the WLUR All Access broadcast powered by First Team Broadcasting. Top of the third inning here at Captain Dick Smith Field. Sun still out, not quite shining as bright as it was last inning, but Nate Cohen is taking the mound and pitching to Jeffrey Snyder.
Cohen, a guy who loves to attack the zone often and early. Small guy, but throws very hard for his stature. A lot of confidence coming from Nate Cohen.
First pitch was a strike. Second pitch hit right back at Cohen. Had to jump to get out of the way. Rolls back to Salvino in center field as Snyder is able to take first base without too many obstacles in his way.
Leadoff base hit for Jeff Snyder. Gets his average up, hitting .333 on the year, keeping it around that place. Nate Cohen probably just left the curveball up a little there. Hit hard and right back at him. Lucky he could get out of the way quickly on that one. That'll bring up Tanner Montgomery. Montgomery in his last at-bat struck out looking, bringing his average down just below 300 on the season. Cohen would love a nice ground ball here.
Cohen doing what John Raymond did not do much of, and that is checking the runner at first base. Already he threw a pitch over to keep him in place and now has his eyes on Montgomery at bat. The strike to Montgomery from Cohen. Also, Snyder staying over at first base. Not a whole lot going on for Nate to worry about.
Cohen has faced 3 batters in this game so far. All 3 of them he's thrown first pitch fastball strike. So good job there, getting ahead in counts, having a lot of confidence. And we're seeing a little bit of run on his fastball today. Always a good sign.
Another warning pitch over to first base. Snyder still standing on top. No need to dive back with this small lead he is taking. Is it called a warning pitch, James? Is that what you would call it?
Pickoff.
Pickoff.
Usually.
There we go. Got to get my lingo back up to date. Second
Absolutely.
pitch to Montgomery, fouls off.
Cohen attacking off and early, keeps the fastball inside on his hands there. Nothing much you could do with that pitch except drop it on the ground over to the left side.
Where are you from, James?
New York. I noticed that came out a little funky.
A little bit. Sound a little southern.
Hey, you get down here for long enough, every now and then it starts to slip around.
Nothing wrong with that. 0-2 count now. Cohen once again looking at Snyder at first base, but deciding to throw another pitch to Montgomery, who hits it right out to right field. Munson easily able to get under it. No need to rush with the throw as Snyder is running back to first base.
Easy play there, 0-2. Cohen leaves the curveball up a little in the zone too much, but nothing damage done. Easy, lazy fly ball for out number 1. That'll bring up Jake Dudley. He is 0 for 5 so far in his young Bridgewater Eagles career. Walked in his first time up, and that started the tough inning for John Raymond last time around. He was the first one to come around and score on that grand slam.
No need to worry about the runner there. Cohen goes right to work throwing to Dudley. First pitch is a strike.
Cohen with the first pitch changeup there, probably thinking about trying to get a ground ball, obviously. Jake Dudley, not the fastest runner on the base passes that we saw during his last rendezvous out there. But obviously Cohen with an out here looking for that ground ball double play ball.
After Snyder took off last time, Cohen giving him a little more time. However, decides to throw another strike to Dudley. 0-2 counts with Snyder still at first base.
Cohen, good job changing eye levels there. First pitch down at the ankles. Second pitch up at the letters. Quickly an 0-2 count. Cohen usually, except for some of the throws over here, he's a guy that when you're kind of watching a long and drawn-out game, he's a guy that's kind of nice to have on the mound because he works quickly, throws a lot of strikes and pitches to contact. So Cohen, a guy who's very, very good at speeding up the pace of a game, especially when they start to get long and drawn out.
7 pitches so far for Cohen, and probably just as many throws over to first base at this point. Again, Snyder easily standing on top of first base. Dudley still having the 0-2 count here. And he was caught looking. That is a strikeout for Nate Cohen.
How do you like that? Backdoor cutter from Nathan Cohen. Just nicks the outside half. Nothing you can do there. Cohen threw that exactly where he wanted to, hitting his spot, getting the second out of the inning. And Cohen doing a very smart job knowing that he's facing the bottom of the lineup in this inning, just attacking these hitters. And Mr. Jake Dudley will go back to the bench lacking his first career college hit. That will bring up the bottom of the order for the Eagles.
First pitch to the center fielder for the Eagles, Grable. He fouls it off for strike 1. It appears that Snyder tried to steal on that pitch, but with a foul ball has to trot his way back to first base.
Second straight at bat, the Eagles have tried hitting runs and ended up fouling on the first pitch. So probably just trying to distract Cohen a little bit, see if they can get him going. I mean, you have the bottom of the lineup here. See if you can make it something interesting happen before the top comes up.
Grable hits that pitch right to Volpicelli at shortstop, who easily throws that across to Brian Wickman at first base to secure the third out.
Nice play by Volpicelli, getting around on the backhand, making it look easy, and a long, strong throw across the diamond, making it an easy play for Brian Wickman as they get the third out of the inning. An easy, quick inning, first time we've seen it in this game so far, no runs. As the Generals, down by 1, we go to the bottom of the third.
Once again, Lily Mitchell and James Laverty here as Colin Levy comes up to bat to kick off the bottom of the third inning for the Generals. Garber still on the mound for the Eagles. He got a lot of work done in just a few pitches last inning.
Colin Levy had a big 2-run single his first time up. Had a hard line drive right back at the pitcher this time up. Starts the count 1-0. Levy, a guy who's coming in, starting at second baseman as a freshman for his defensive skills, but trying to get it going at the plate. And a good job here already today with a single with some RBIs in the first inning. And now getting ahead of 2-0 count on 2 very close pitches, keeping a good eye, keeping a lot of good plate discipline, making Garber work. So that's the important thing. Even if you're a bottom of the lineup batter, one of the most important things you could do as he fouls that one off to the left side, make the count 2-1, is to make sure that you make these pitchers work.
I love how Levy takes his time getting into the batter's box after every pitch. Garber just patiently waiting for him to get situated before delivering the next pitch. Now a 2-2 count against Levy.
Good pitch from Garber there, battling back quickly into this count. Hard two-seamer in on Levy's hands. Not much you should do there. Levy, guy who stands very close to the plate. So that definitely a weak spot in that sort of stance.
A ball by Garber to Levy. Now a 3-2 count.
Curveball just low in the dirt there. Levy won't chase.
Hopefully the Generals can start something off here. And there we go. Levy hits a hard shot right to second base. Easily transferred from Nevado to Dudley for the first out.
Hit hard, but right at the second baseman, Nevado. Not much you could do there. Still a good swing for Levy and a good sign for him. Making some good contact on the ball and had a long at-bat. That'll bring up Mitchell Savino so far, hitting .333. In his last at-bat, he had a single, so that average will be up a little. 19 at-bats this season, 7 hits, 2 doubles, and he's got himself an RBI. He got himself a second RBI in that bottom half of the first inning. As they leave the curveball just a bit high there for ball 1.
Salvino not taking as much time out of the box as Levy. He is in there and he is ready to get swinging. 2-0 count against Salvino now. Hard hit shot just past the third baseman. It stays fair long enough. Salvino got a little tripped up rounding first base, but he is able to safely and easily make it to second base for an easy double.
Second hit on the day for Mitchell Savino. He's got himself a single and a double. And if you talk about how hard that ball was hit, not only did it land before the third base, it hit the third baseman's glove and still found a way to roll all the way to the wall. So Salvino has himself a 1-out double. Chapin Basie with a runner in scoring position, less than 2 outs. Big opportunity for him to finally get his at-bats going.
The runner in scoring position, anything can happen here for the Generals as Basie fouls that one off for strike 1. Garber not giving too much thought to Salvino standing behind him. Now taking a look back, doesn't look like there's any fielders there to catch a throw out to second base. So Garber throws another pitch, and it is strike 2.
Just paints the outer half, probably right on the corner there. Chapin down to the count early.
I can't believe he's on the phone with not you.
Garber taking some more time to make sure that Salvino's not going anywhere. So Salvino calls time. Steps out. Oh, I'm sorry, not Salvino. Basie steps out, takes a practice swing before stepping right back in the box.
Gotta love to look at that. One of those fighter jets coming over from VMI going right over the field. And you could definitely hear that sound over the crowd mic. That was loud. They paused the game a little for that.
Everyone was looking upwards at that, even the umpires.
That's a really, really cool sight right there. But the sound's still going. You could hear it from all the way back here, but obviously back to baseball. 0-2 count on Chapin.
Not a lot of cool things happen in Lexington, but that's definitely one of them. Basie hits it right back up the middle. However, Nevado able to come from second to easily field that ball right behind the mound and get Basie out at first. If he was not crowding second so closely due to Salvino being on second, that ball would have easily rolled out to center field.
Absolutely. Good play by Nevada to cut that off and throw it on the run to get Chapin, who's a pretty speedy runner himself. Now a big situation for Gazen. Gazen on the year, 6 RBIs, but for a guy who's getting on base as much he does, usually doesn't have a lot of RBI opportunities. Now tying run on third with 2 outs. Gazen just looking for a single here to tie this game.
First pitch to Gazen is in the dirt for ball 1. Salvino comfortably standing at third, waiting for his opportunity to tie up this ball game. Big swing from Gazen, hopped right into the glove of the shortstop. So Salvino's run does not count as this third inning is wrapped up.
Unlucky bounce there for Gazen, who probably, if that takes one more lower hop, instead of bouncing right into the shortstop glove, he's safe there. But with that, we go to the top of the fourth. 6-5 Eagles.
We are back with the top of the Eagles lineup. Jarrett Biesecker taking his place in the left batter's box as Nate Cohen gears up to start off this 4th inning. First pitch to Biesecker is a strike. Now, as we have mentioned before, Biesecker is definitely the top hitter for the Eagles. He led the ODAC in batting average last year with a .421, batting about the same now for the Eagles. Now a 1-1 count against him. However, when he does get those hits, they are big, powerful hits. So definitely someone that the Generals have had to keep at bay so far this game. Hit right up to Jason Volpicelli at short. A little bit of a fumble there and transitioning it from his glove to throw across to first base. Biesecker was able to safely make it despite Volpicelli's best efforts. So first batter on base runner early for the Eagles as Talley comes up. Talley is in fact the one who got the 4-run home run in the 2nd inning. So definitely one that Nate Cohen wants to keep at bay here to limit the amount of damage that can be done by the Eagles today. First pitch is a ball as Biesecker scampers back to first base.
I didn't see what happened.
Nate Cohen is making sure Biesecker does not get a big lead as he throws the ball over to Brian Wickman at first base. Still a 1-0 count against Talley.
Oh, it's going to be great. It might make you stay next year.
Talley obviously had the grand slam in his last at-bat.
Cohen once again throwing over to first base, really taking his time here, maybe letting Talley think a little too much get in his head so that he doesn't get as big of a hit as he got last time.
Cohen definitely cognizant that he went yard his last time as Talley shows that off that he can hit again.
Right through the infield out to Ryan Munson in right field. Munson easily scoops it up and throws it in, but not without Biesecker advancing to second and Talley getting on first base quite easily.
So after an easy 3rd inning For Nathaniel Cohen, you now have runners on first and second base to lead it off, and another big spot here. Generals trying to cling on to that one-run lead.
Now we have Nevado, the second baseman for the Eagles, who made that big play at second base last inning. Nate now looking at all the runners on base as he throws one very inside to Nevado. However, it just missed him for ball one.
Always good to back a hitter off the plate a little bit when they're crowding a little bit and make sure they're not as comfortable as they could be. Now Cohen can look to maybe pepper away at that outside part of the zone.
Nate giving a few looks around to the base runners before throwing a strike to Nevado. 1-1 count.
Cohen pounding that fastball right in there, low and at the letters and at the knees, excuse me. Nevado with a single and a pop out to shortstop, 1 for 2 on the day.
Nevado took some signs from the third base coach before stepping right back into the right-hander's batter box here. Showing a bunt. Nate not seeing it because he's striking the runners. Nevado pulls back.
Nate threw him a high curveball, probably trying to get Nevado to pop one up there in that situation. Nevado so far on the year, 250 hitter, which 250 hitter over 14 games, 44 at-bats, 11 hits, and 12 RBIs. Also has himself a home run. He's a guy that's played some really, really strong defense, though, at second base today.
Some more signs came from the third base coach. However, no bunt showing this time as Nevado pops it right over the backstop out to where the fans are sitting.
Just missed. Pretty hard hit. Just skimpers over the viewing area.
2-2 count now on Nevado, gathering more signs. I just love baseball and softball signs. I think they're so entertaining watching the coaches do their little dances out there.
Always fun to watch a coach who gets really, really into it.
My dad used to start doing the Macarena when he coached me in softball.
Oh, man. Definitely probably not going to see that on a college baseball field. As Nate gets him looking on the 2-2 slider.
You know, that must feel good. You have two runners on base, and you're able to get that strikeout for the first out of the inning.
It's a big situation because you can get outs in that situation. But if you have no outs in a game and runners in scoring position, you can still make an out that's productive for the offensive team. There, he gets the strikeout and just one more. And now you can have two long flyouts that won't result in a run. So a big strikeout there for Mr. Cohen.
LaPrade up to bat and did some damage last inning, so I'm sure he's ready to swing his bat once more. First pitch from Cohen was indeed a strike.
Cohen, a lot of confidence in that curveball today. He's thrown it for strikes, dropping it in there when he wants. You can tell he's found the arm slot on that pitch, and that's what makes Nate a really, really strong pitcher, and one of the reasons that Coach White can kind of rely on him a lot in some of these big relief situations is that he's a guy that can throw strikes. And he's one of those pitchers that you watch and your heart rate kind of goes down a little. That doesn't stress you out too much. And he works fast, so that's definitely a plus in some of these long, drawn-out games that we've seen so far early on in this season.
Nate taking a look at the runners behind him. LaPrade laying down a bunt right back at Cohen. He turns to throw to Wickman at first, and LaPrade is out, but not without advancing the runners first.
Well-executed sack bunt. Probably didn't need to run there, but what they did by doing the hit-and-run bunt in that situation was making sure that Cohen, who I've seen a couple times in the past with runners on first and second, get that lead runner out at third, making sure Cohen had to go to first. Also with that, and that can oftentimes be a tough throw for a pitcher when you have a ball down on the third base side throwing it to first base. That ball gets away, you're looking at 2 runs for the Eagles.
Definitely showcased the versatility of Nate Cohen on the mound. So easily, I feel like pitchers just get stuck in their pitching rut. However, you are an infielder as well. So he showcased right there his ability to also make some plays off the mound.
Cohen with another first pitch strike. He's really been doing that well today. They're dropping in the curveball once again. Has a lot of confidence throwing that pitch to righties, dropping it in on that lower half.
Second pitch was a ball here to Creed.
Tries to throw probably the exact same pitch there, just a little round off his hands, a little faster, didn't get the bite that he wanted.
Taking his time now on the mound. Cohen throwing in another pitch, once again a ball to Creed for a 2-1 count.
I'm kind of getting that velocity up there a little bit today.
when you have 2 outs and 2 runners in scoring position here, you really want to take your time, focus on what you can control and what's in front of you. And for Nate Cohen, that is getting this batter out.
And if you look at the next 2 hitters coming up for him, you have Creed at bat right now. He's a 385 hitter. Snyder, a 333 hitter. So that one gets missing.
That went right back up the middle to Cohen. He thought he snagged it, went to grab it and make the throw to first before realizing the ball bounced out of his glove and was actually sitting behind him. He had to scramble backwards, pick it up, tried to make the throw, not in time. So the bases now, there's a runner on third, a runner on first, and the Eagles were able to get another run to make the score 7-5. Once again, a 2-run deficit for the Generals to try to fill. However, we do have 2 outs here at Captain Dick Smith Field in the top of the 4th inning.
Go
ahead.
2-run lead now for the Eagles. Cohen not too happy with himself, but a good job knocking that ball down and making sure the second runner didn't get in. He almost got the out there. Made that play a lot closer than I think a lot of us thought it was going to be. Now a huge play for Cohen here. You got JT Snyder up at the bat, hitting 333 on the season. That one looked like it was coming up right around us.
Just jumped in my seat a little bit. I happened to look away, and next thing I know, there's a ball in my face. But luckily, we're here. We have several layers between us with the glass and the fence and everything. It's
too bad. I always wanted to get a foul ball at a baseball game. As Cohen deals the 0-1.
And that is a hit by JT Snyder right out to our left fielder, Perkins, for the Generals. Throws that into his cutoff, Volpicelli. Another run scored for the Eagles. Now runners on first and second base.
Frustrating pitch if you're Cohen there to execute your spot. Doesn't hit it hard, but just hits it in that one little gap where nobody was. As it looks like we're going to see some action in the Generals bullpen. Carson McCoon is starting to walk out there.
One thing about the Generals is they do have several pitchers that you are able to bring in. So we saw
Tommy Kellogg also making
another
a little
one
trot out there.
We saw John Raymond struggle a little. Nate Cohen not really struggling, but not having the best time of it at this moment. So
I think a part of it's also the fact that this Bridgewater team, you have a lot of guys hitting in the high 300s. They're a team that puts up a lot of runs. So even if you do execute your pitches, they're a team that can just kind of hammers away and kind of singles you to death. And every now and then you make that one big mistake in the grand slam that we saw earlier in this game.
still a close ball game, though, as Nate Cohen gets a strike against Tanner Montgomery, the catcher for the Eagles. A 1-1 count with still 2 outs, only 1 runner in scoring position, but another on first base. So much ball game left to be played as we are still in the top of the 4th inning.
Still a big spot, though, here for Cohen. Don't want to let this inning get too out of hand. So he deals a nice slider, just a bit high. Some of the crowd not too sure where he missed with that one.
2-1 count now against Montgomery. Cohen not quite looking at the runners standing behind him, really focusing on getting this out in front of him. I say that as he turns around and throws to second base. Volpicelli there covering to ensure that the base runner does not get too much of a lead. However, no out was made, so still runner on second, runner on first, 2 outs. 2-1 against Montgomery. Nate Cohen on the mound.
Big situation for him here.
Barely missed yet again for 3-1 count now.
Falls behind in the count here as Tommy Kellogg continues to warm up in the bullpen. Cohen will see if 3-1 count here. We'll see if he gives him anything possible to hit or if he lets him go for the next hitter.
And that is a walk for Tanner Montgomery. The base is now loaded for the Eagles as Dudley, the first baseman for the Eagles, comes up to bat.
And if you're Cohen here, as White looks over to the bullpen to try and see how quickly Tommy Kellogg's warming up, Cohen maybe right there once you fall behind 2-1 to one of the better hitters on their team, knowing that you have a guy coming up who does not have a college career hit yet, maybe you sort of intentionally walk him as Cohen throws some of the same pitches that's been hit pretty well earlier on to him, and it blows right by him for an 0-1 count. So Dudley over 6 in his college career, and Cohen picking a good spot right here to try and hamper down and get it done with the bases loaded, down by 3 runs already. Big block by Burnett there.
Burnett is definitely great at staying on top of the ball and making sure it does not get behind him to give away any free bases. 1-1 count to Dudley now. We saw him take that big swing at the first pitch, so I'm sure if Cohen throws him anything close, he may just send it.
I mean, if you're Dudley, you don't have a college career hit yet, as I've probably said a little too many times now, but there would be a big time for one now.
There we go, hit right back up the middle to center field. We have Salvino chasing after it, not quite able to get to it in time, but quickly throws the ball in. Little confusion on the cutoff, however, able to maintain the damage to only 2 more runs that scored. Dudley now standing on second base. His first collegiate hit was indeed a double.
It was a big one. And Salvino did a really, really good job. That was one of the quicker transfers I've ever seen off a ball, hit off the wall. And then, of course, another freshman making a big play, Colin Leby, getting the rebound off of that. The cutoff throw went past Volpicelli. Colin Leby backing that up well. But now the Generals down by 5. Ted White coming up to the mound to make a decision as Tommy Kellogg will enter this game, the senior pitcher. He has been the ace for the Generals so far this season. He'll look to shut it down as we go to a quick break as Kellogg will throw his warm-ups.
Jacob Grable.
And we are back with Tom Kellogg on the mound, and Jacob Grable, the center fielder for the Eagles, taking his place at the plate. Still 2 outs here for the Eagles. The Generals hoping to get 1 more out so they can have their time at bat.
Kellogg attacking right away, first pitch curveball, showing a lot of confidence so far. Tommy Kellogg has had quite the start to his senior season on the mound. If we take a look at some of the numbers, is that one? That's going to get away. That's going to score at least a run.
Unfortunately, sometimes pitches like that can just get a little wild, so that one just happened to be out of reach of Bryce Burnett as another run for the Eagles score, and is now an 11-5 ball game.
Tommy Kellogg picked up a win this weekend with 4 shutout innings. So far this season, he is 2-0, 4 appearances, 2 games started, over 20 2/3 inning, only giving up 2 earned runs. That's good for a .87 ERA. Got 28 strikeouts and batters, hitting just 182 against Mr. Kellogg as he'll deal the 1-1 here.
That is hit right up the middle. A diving Leby unable to stop it, but Salvino luckily did stop it before making a bit too hard of a throw as Grable is able to get a double out of this. Not really.
Probably they'll give him a single.
Single and error.
Advances to second on the throw. But obviously the Generals falling apart a little
Left
in this
fielder
inning,
number
giving
one,
up 5
Jared
runs after the
Biesecker.
easy third. Now all the way down by 6 runs and, or down by 7 runs now, and been a very, very tough inning for them. But you know what? We've seen them come back from this exact situation before. Not going to be easy, but going to take a lot of work. Kellogg throwing pretty hard today. Deals. Gets that fastball right in on the outside corner. Another running and scoring position for the Bridgewater Eagles here with 2 outs. Now the Generals trying to keep this to a 7-run lead. Now we're seeing that 1, 2, 3, 4 of these runs have come with 2 outs for the Generals, and obviously a huge difference being down by 3 and being down by 7.
Definitely a frustrating situation here for the Generals. They're just wanting to get this inning over with so they can have their at-bat and do just as much damage back to the Eagles. The Eagles right back at the top of their lineup again now with Biesecker here at the plate. Has definitely done a bunch of damage himself here, so I'm sure not the easiest batter for Tom Kellogg to come out here and face right now, but it's a 2-1 count, still 2 outs. There's a lot of game to be played, a lot of pitches to be thrown. Don't count anything out yet.
Absolutely, but of course, Biesecker has already scored 3 runs in this game, one of them on an error, but he is 2 for 3 today. He actually scored earlier on in this inning on the Volpicelli error to lead things off, and here he is up again as we try to end this inning. Never a good inning for your team when one of the opposing batters gets hit twice as he'll take off. Trying to go towards Burnett. Won't get it as he'll toss the bat there for ball 4.
Eagle runners now on third base and first base. It's a walk against Biesecker by Kellogg, but that's
Shortstop
okay.
number
Still
18,
have some
Jacob
time to
Talley.
bounce back. Talley, once again, the grand slam hitter up at bat. Taking his time getting into the box here. Tom Kellogg looking around, looking at the runner at first, the runner at third.
Talley already has a home run and an RBI single today. And with that, the Bridgewater Eagles will get their 7th run of the inning as things are starting to get a little out of hand here at Captain Dick Smith Field.
That low pitch by Kellogg just took the weirdest hop in front of Burnett and rolled almost all the way to the Generals' dugout.
Burnett usually pretty sound defensively back there, but sometimes there's balls like that where there's not much you could do. As we see again, some movement out to the bullpen this time. It'll be Carson McCune getting out there. Up. Actually, might want to check that. Ben Greer also going out there to throw. See which one it is after Kellogg's done throwing.
2 balls to Talley now from Kellogg. Still a runner out on second base that he has to be aware of. Generals now just wanting to get that final out that has been evading them for so long now without having too much more damage done. Hard hit, goes foul.
And this third out has just been so elusive to this Generals team. I think they're just dying to get back into that dugout right now. We've only been an out away for very, very long now. This could have been an 8-5 game had that error not happened to start off this inning, but not what you love to see for this Generals team.
Hard hit ball right through the infield out to Munson and right, who quickly scoops it up and throws it home to Burnett easily. Keeps the runner at third base. However, Talley is able to safely stand on first.
Good decision to stay there. That'll bring up the second baseman, Nevado, hoping to try and keep this long rally going. He'll be the third hitter of this inning to have a second at bat.
Second baseman number 15, Kevin Nevado.
Nevado has been able to do some damage here. However, last time he did strike out. So for the Generals, I'm sure they're hoping for the same scenario to get out of this inning.
Nevado 1 for 3 on the day. As Kellogg starts him off with a first pitch curveball in the dirt. Falls behind 1-0.
Nevado stepping out of the box before stepping back in. Kellogg taking his time out on the mound, shaking off some pitches and looking around at his runners to see what situation he's in. Decides to pitch to Nevado's, another ball, little high. 2-0 count.
Kellogg starting to miss the spots with that curveball that he was confident in early on. And obviously one of those things where if you're the Generals, you have to find a way to stay strong, stay tough, and stay mental in a game that is starting to slip away. I mean, although you never know with this Generals team, they have found a way to score a ridiculous amount of runs in some bottom innings, and so you never know how high scoring these games could end up being. But obviously, this has been a long one so far. We are only in the bottom of the fourth, and an hour and 45 minutes has passed, so on pace to be a very long game.
However, to be fair, some of that length was taken up by some pitching changes. Nevado hits straight to Bassi at third base, who easily makes a hard throw across the field to Wickman, who can easily catch that ball for the third out for the Generals.
We're back here at Captain Dick Smith Field after a very, very long top of the fourth inning. Now, in the bottom of the fourth, 7 runs the Eagles put up on 8 hits in that inning. They're now up 13-5 as he deals the first pitch high and up tight to Zach Perkins. He'll be down to the count 1-0. Perkins will lead it off here for the Generals, hoping to try and find a little something in this inning after a game that is now seemingly a little bit out of reach for the Generals. But we know, Lily, that we've seen with these Generals teams before, they've been able to come back really, really big deficits, and it's just because it's a really offensive-natured team.
Yeah, I definitely agree. One thing about this Generals team is that they never seem to give up. They seem to push every single time they're out there. Every step they take, every swing, every time they throw the ball, it is hard. As
Perkins lines one down the line in right field, he'll have himself a leadoff base hit for the Generals. Hit that one well as Perkins will continue. We'll get his first hit of the day. Generals get the leadoff runner on. That'll bring up Jason Volpicelli. Volpicelli 1 for 2 today with a single and actually 1 for 1, with a single and a sac fly. Obviously, we'll see, can this Generals team keep it going? Volpicelli comes in the box.
Every time Volpicelli comes up, I always talk about how he produces such timely hits for the Generals, often getting them out of unfavorable situations.
As he deals the first pitch right at Volpicelli's back, but looks like it nicked him, thrown pretty hard up and in. Volpicelli seems to be okay. And just like that, 3 pitches into the inning, the Generals, 2 runners on, no outs. You got one of your better hitters in Munson up. That's one of the things, these games are never over. As much as they are seemingly out of reach, that'll bring up Mr. Ryan Munson, hit 361 on the season, leading the Generals last year. This year, hitting 277, but he's a guy that could hit some pop. You never know, one swing, and this could be a 13-8 ball game.
The Generals definitely just needed a little bit of a boost, a little bit of confidence to show that they are still in this game, and I think so far these first 2 batters and now with Munson are showing just that. They're telling the Eagles they are still in this and not to get too cocky.
As Munson takes the first pitch, right down the middle for a strike, 0-1 count. Be interesting to see here how much can the Generals keep their foot on the gas pedal. A lot of times as a team, you do tend to get deflated when you have those really, really long innings. So even if they don't come all the way back, of course, just scrapping away a run or two here, a run or two there is very important for the team. As Munson takes the curveball down low and in on the zone. 0-2 quickly here.
Some signs going out from the third base coach as all the two base runners and Munson all looking ahead to see what the game plan is here.
Garber, the sophomore 2-year player, looking to try and hold down this lead. Came into the game, it was only a 1-run lead. Now it's an 8-run lead.
Definitely easier to pitch when you have that much of a lead.
Munson fouls that one long and out of play. Just fights that one off on the 0-2 count. Garber, very, very long inning for him on the bench. Not only do 7 runs score in that inning, you also have an error, you have some walks, and you also have a pitching change that really, really made that a long time on the bench. We'll see how loose Garber stayed here as he's now 0-2 count. 2 men on, Munson at the bat. Bryce Burnett, very, very hot hitter right now on deck.
Also important to note, just as there's action in the Generals bullpen, there's an equal amount of action in the Eagles bullpen. So who knows how long Garber will actually be in this game.
Will be interesting to see if you let Garber kind of go. He's a guy that has had some starts and has some starting experience. But at the same time, if he starts to get tripped up, if you're the coach, you might not want to let him go out there for too long and make the game too interesting. If you're a coach, you want to shut the door quickly when you get a good lead like that.
It's also important to consider that this is a Wednesday evening game. These teams have games this weekend, so you have to think about the long ball too. You know, who do you want to ensure is healthy and in best condition to play this weekend?
It's a long season, and it's always a very, very big struggle for the coach. That's probably one of the most important things that a manager has to deal with is a lot of young arms. Kids can get hurt, and you want to make sure that everyone's healthy and that everyone's fresh and ready to go as he deals the 2-2 to Ryan Munson. Swung on, drilled, makes the catch. One away, he'll get 2. What a play, and that will deflate the Generals. Hard hit line drive, and the shortstop, Talley, will make the catch, and he'll catch Perkins leaning for the double play there. Tough job there.
Not much you can do as a base runner in that position. For Perkins, you know, you hear the ball hit, you see it hit, you see the angle it's taking, and you think, all right, that is at least in the outfield. I can take a few steps. And unfortunately, Talley was just able to snag it, and Perkins was caught in that no man's territory.
Generals did everything right as Burnett takes the 0-1 curveball for a strike. And the Generals did everything they could have done right in that situation, but sometimes you get unlucky in cases like that. He hit it really, really hard, but fortunately hit it right where people were. Here's the 0-1 to Burnett. That one slider taken low. Count 1-1.
Burnett may be a bit rattled after having those few passed balls on him. Definitely the worst case for a catcher.
4-year player, though, think he'll be all right. As he takes the fastball. A little high and outside for strike 2. Count 1-2, 2 outs. Burnett not too happy with the call there. See if he could shorten up. Get something going for the Generals here with 2 outs. And obviously, the double play right there just completely changes the direction of the inning. That ball goes a little higher, gets by the shortstop, a little to the left, a little to the right. And you're looking at probably runners on second and third with no outs. Lines that one foul over there into the bullpen. Still 1-2.
Keeping the Generals bullpen alive and paying attention at the game.
Absolutely. .13-5 game here at Captain Dick Smith Field. Only 4 more hits for the Eagles, but the 2 errors for the Generals and some untimely walks, the difference in this game. Burnett hits one to deep left. That one's going to get down. That's probably going to be at least a runner on second and third. Burnett, a big 2-out double there, keeping this Generals team alive and on their feet. And obviously, we see a huge difference in this game if that line drive double play doesn't happen. But Bryce Burnett with his second double of the game, he's a guy who's hitting the ball where he wants to right now. He is finding that left center field gap, and that'll bring up another former fellow catcher, Brian Wickman. Wickman today, 0 for 1 with the ground ball to third base, hit by a pitch in the first inning. Wickman with another spot here. Earlier in the game, he came up with runners in second and third and 2 outs, and he'll do it again here in the bottom of the fourth.
Once again, the Eagles have that huge gap in left center field. The Generals, specifically Burnett, able to take advantage of that here. Definitely getting some more momentum going after that hard stop from the double play.
We'll see if Wickman, who's hitting about .310 on the season, can have a chance to raise that average up a little and raise that RBI stat. He pops that one into left. Going to be a tough play for the third baseman. Out by the wall. Makes the catch right on the wall. And that'll be the inning for the Generals. They threatened, but nothing away after the double play. They leave 2 men on after 2 hits across the inning. As we go to the top of the fifth, Eagles 13, Generals 5. Back here for the top of the fifth inning. New pitcher on the mound for the Generals. It's Benjamin Greer, number 16, looking to make a quicker inning than we saw last one of the longer innings that we've seen in the season. Hoping to keep this score 13-5 as Greer deals the first pitch. Strike on the outside half with a fastball. Greer, definitely a pitcher that likes to throw a lot of strikes and pitch to contact. So in a long game like this, hopefully he's one of those guys that, as it's already 0-2 as he fouls that one off, hopefully Greer's a guy that can get the pace of this game going up.
Ben Greer is also a fellow WLUR broadcaster, normally covering the football games in the fall. Definitely sad to see him go. There will be a gap here at WLUR in the fall. Hopefully we can find someone to replace him, but
Absolutely.
Honestly, may just be irreplaceable.
Got to find some new freshman talent. And, of course, Benjamin Greer, the senior, broadcasted his final basketball game just a few weeks ago. Got himself a little ceremony with some of his baseball teammates showing up for him as he deals the 0-2. Curveball low and in the dirt.
I love how you pull out all these players' full names. Benjamin
Greer.
Nathaniel
Cullen.
So official.
He struck him out. 4 pitches there. Easy work for Ben Greer. One up, one away.
No better feeling as a pitcher than getting a strikeout, especially when it's the first batter of an inning. That definitely sets such a solid tone for the rest of the inning.
Got it done, and he got it done early. See if Greer, he's definitely a guy that's a strike thrower and also throws a little slower than some of the other pitchers on the team. See if he could change up their timing. That one foul outside of play, right side. Greer once ahead. Oh, once again up ahead in the count, 1-0.
Greer is making these batters swing the bat and foul off the ball, so definitely working in his advantage here, getting those strikes.
That'll bring up Creed, who is 2 for 3 on the day, flew out with 2 singles and scored a run. JT Creed hitting .385 on the season, probably getting close to 400 with his 2 hits today. As Greer deals just a bit outside, dialed that fastball up a little, trying to get something going, trying to get him to chase up in the zone. Just missed as he lays off there.
Some beautiful framework there by Burnett, hoping to get that 3rd strike.
Curveball in the dirt, count 2-2. We could still hear that lacrosse music far off in the background for a game just a few hundred yards away. Here's the 2-2 from Greer. Hit on the ground towards Basie. Basie fields, fires, 2 away. Quick work for Greer in this inning. Definitely something the Generals have wanted to see all day, regardless of the score in a game that has been very, very long and drawn out. Even a crowd that probably looks a little quieter than it originally was.
3rd baseman number 7, Jeffrey Snyder.
That will bring up the 3rd baseman, Jeffrey Snyder, so far in the game today. He is also 2 for 3 with a run.
Ben Greer taking no time.
Absolutely. A kid who likes to work fast and throw to contact. Definitely an infielder's best friend. You get yourself a lot of work. You don't find yourself on your heels too often. Something that you really like to see if you're a fielder. It's a very stark contrast to what we saw last inning, but obviously as he deals the pitch, and 0-2 already on 2 foul balls, a stark contrast to last inning that lasted a very, very long time. We'll see if Greer can make quick work of this inning, as the Generals, after the one of the longest innings of the year, are looking to have one of the shortest right here. He struck him out. 3 pitches. Greer makes quick work of the Bridgewater Eagles. 3 up, 3 down, 2 strikeouts for Ben Greer as we go to the bottom of the 5th. Return here for the bottom of the 5th inning. Generals down 13-5. Colin Leby will lead it off for the Jennies. Colin today already has himself a hit, and he has himself a ground ball to second base. Colin 1 for 2 on the day. His single, though, got himself two RBIs early on in his Jennies career. Colin, the starting second baseman for the Generals, got hurt early on in the season. Now seems to be doing all right as he takes the 1-0 outside, count 2-0. Definitely one thing about the Generals today is they have been knocking on the door a lot, but they have not been able to score with runners in scoring position and 2 outs. Meanwhile, when on defense, they haven't been able to get out of those situations. As Leby fouls that one off, count 2-1. Colin Leby, a very, very strong defensive second baseman. If he can get his bat going, he could be a very, very big contributor for the Generals early on. And obviously one of the things that we see with this Generals lineup is that you have a lot of young guys all throughout the lineup. Jack Gazen, a sophomore. Zach Perkins, a freshman. Brian Wickman, a sophomore. Colin Leby, Mitchell Savino, Chapin Basie, all sophomores and freshmen. So not a lot of experience on the lineup side of things, but definitely a lot of future youth to look forward to as Leby pops that one up shallow right at the third baseman. Fights the sun, makes the catch. One away. That'll bring up Mitchell Savino for the Generals. Savino so far on the day, he's 2 for 2, having himself a good day at the plate. Single in the first inning, had himself an RBI, and a double that almost got things going in the bottom of the third. See if he can start things up with one out here for the Jennies. And the first pitch to Savino. Takes the fastball on the outer half, count 0-1. Good movement there from Warber. That one, 85. Up and away, out of the zone away for Savino. One. That one just on the inside corner and quickly ahead 1-2 on Savino. And the pitch. That one tries to get him chasing with the curveball. Savino lays off. Count goes to 2-2. Savino hitting over 350 on the season to date. That one is lined. Down the line, gets by him. That should be a double. Hard ground ball past the diving outstretched third baseman. Savino will get into second base standing up with another one-out double on a good day. Savino, 3 for 3, showing his bat belongs in this Jennies lineup. Good start to his freshman year. Coach Cohen, the hitting coach for the Generals, looks very, very happy to see what the young center fielder is doing. As that'll bring up the sophomore Chapin Basie. Chapin over 2 today with a ground ball to second base and a swinging strikeout in the first inning. See if Chapin can add an RBI here to his career stats. Takes first pitch high, 1-0. We're seeing Warber missing a lot of his first pitches here. A lot of fastballs missed up in the zone, and that's where he's been able to get hit. One really interesting thing we're seeing on the scoreboard today, Generals only have 2 less hits than the Eagles yet, just because of the fact the difference in this game has been hitting with runners in scoring position and 2 outs. As Chapin up early in the count 2-0, it seems like every inning we're watching, the Generals are putting runners in scoring position, putting runners on base, but they're just not being able to capitalize early on. 2-0, bit low. Took a little off that one, probably had some movement. Chapin will have a 3-0 count here, probably does not have the green light in a 13-5 game. Takes a little off that, throws the fastball right down the middle. Chapin, a 3-1 count, will be looking for one pitch, one spot, something he can drive here. Maybe get the Generals' offense started. 3-1 finds the outside corner. We got ourselves a full count after Chapin went up in the count 3-0. Warber finds a way to battle himself back here. Three-2 to Garber, that's inside. 3-2 from Garber, that's inside. Chapin will walk, and we'll have 2 on, 1 out. That'll bring up the Generals' leading hitter, Jackson Gazen. 2 for 3 today. Has himself a 6-3, a bunt single, and a single in the first inning. As that may just do it for Garber. We'll see what the decision is here.
Not only is Gazen versatile in that, he's quick, he gets hits, but also he can bunt, which is something that not a lot of people can do. It seems like such a simple thing, but honestly, laying down a good bunt and managing to also get on base and not just sacrifice yourself for it is a really great thing that I'm sure the Generals are looking to take advantage of with Gazen coming up to bat with runners in scoring position.
One of those things where if you have confidence that you can do it well, it's a very mental part of this game. Gazen knows that he has speed, and he's probably had speed since he was young, and he knew that if he could add that part to his game, he can find ways to raise his average up in little parts and keep himself in that leadoff spot. So very important thing. Sometimes it's something that can get you out of a slump. I remember watching when Derek Jeter was chasing his 3,000th hit, he had an 0 for 30 something where he was clearly just in his head. He lays out a sac bunt, and then he goes 3 for 3 the rest of the game. So always an interesting part of your game. But now Gazen, who is hitting over 400 on this season, is going to have a big at-bat here for him to see if he can get the Generals going. And the first pitch. That one just on the outer half, 83-mile-an-hour fastball finds the strike zone. Gazen down 0-1. 0-1, that's blooped into left field. Going to be a tough play. Danner on the run. Can't make the catch. That one dropping in no man's land, just far enough out of the stretch of Talley and Snyder.
Those are some of the most frustrating hits as a batter when they're especially foul balls. And you just think if I had one more chance or if I just swung a little more even. But luckily, Gazen does get that second chance because that ball was not caught. So he is able to come right back up and hopefully do something with the runners on base.
A lot of times you see hitters really making the most of those second chances. You think the at-bat's done, it's not. Now you got another life. We'll see what Gazen can do with it. An 0-2 count. Any contact helps here when you got a speedy runner like Gazen. And the pitch. Line foul. Gazen will stay alive. Gazen right now is averaging, teetering just around 400, and I know he's a guy that likes to think a lot about his stats and numbers, so I have to think he's thinking about trying to keep that average right over 400.
That was me when I was playing. I was always in my head. Where am I at today? Is the paper going to write about me?
As Gazen strikes out looking in a big, big spot. Definitely not a strike. He swung at ball one there. That'll bring up Zach Perkins.
Gazen was anxious to keep his game going strong today with getting another hit. Caused him to reach really far out for that pitch, but you win some, you lose some, I guess. So Jackson Gazen returns back to the dugout.
Perkins takes first pitch. Count 1-0 outside fastball. Perkins in his last at-bat singled, had his first hit on the day. He's 1 for 3 with a strikeout. And here's the 1-0 to Perkins. Ball out, 2-0.
Garber definitely not hitting his spots like he was in previous innings. The Generals remaining disciplined and not swinging for those high and away pitches that Garber has been delivering.
Not totally sure where that one missed, but Perkins will take it. Count will go to 3-0. Some movement over there in the Eagle bullpen. Here's the 3-0 to Perkins. Pitch is taken right down the middle for strike one. Perkins looking to get at least a little something going here in a game that really, really has kind of deadened here. The atmosphere really, really quiet at this point. Perkins will swing at an outside fastball right through it. Count 3-2. Big spot here for Perkins. Here's the 3-2. Pitch is lined. That one will get down and get by the center fielder. 1 run will score. Here comes Basie. He will score. Perkins, he'll go to third. That ball wasn't touched. He'll have himself a stand-up 2-run triple here, and that'll get us something a little going for the Generals.
That's such a hard play for an outfielder. You're never quite sure Should you dive for that ball? Should you let it bounce in front of you so you can easily make a play? And Grable chose to dive after that ball, and it took a terrible bounce right over his head as he is on the ground, having to stand up and scramble backwards for that ball.
And the worst part is for the pitcher is because the ball did not touch his glove, it goes down as a triple, as obviously Mitchell Savino will have his second triple on the season now. Obviously, some players go their whole career without a triple. Savino's got 2 in his first couple weeks as a general. That'll bring up Jason Volpicelli, now with a man on 3rd and 2 outs. So he takes the 0-1 curveball, just a bit low. Good pitch there for Garber. And the 1-1. One is lined in the air to left. That one hit long and hard but foul. Volpicelli. Good swing on that one, but an inside pitch got way around on it. Not much you could do with that one.
Another one deep into the woods.
Yep, definitely losing those balls. It's going to be a tough find. And we'll do the 1-2 all over again. The pitch. Oh! They say Volpicelli goes on the check swing. Obviously a tough angle from up here. Crowd doesn't love it, but that will do it for the bottom of the 5th, but not before the 2-run triple from Luke Perkins, as the Generals will make this a 13-7 game. Excuse me, early on I said that was Mitchell Savino. That was Zachary Perkins who had the 2-run triple. We go to the top of the 6th here at Captain Dick Smith Field. As Snyder lines one into left on the first pitch from Benton Greer. And a quick single here for the Eagles. They're in business early.
Ben Greer had a great inning for the 5th inning, his first outing of the day. So, giving up a hit first pitch, not the worst thing that he can do here.
Absolutely not. And one of the things you got to love with Ben Greer is he attacks the zone and he attacks it early. One single, not going to hurt him. That's not going to get him afraid from throwing strikes. As Jake Dudley, who had his first college career hit earlier on in this game with the 2-run double that really started to put this game out of reach. So he is 1 for 7 now in his college career as Greer deals a first pitch strike on the outside hat. Second pitch from Greer, another high fastball. This one will put the count to 1-1. 1-1, 1 on. That'll bring up Jake Dudley. Greer just missed low on that one. Good spot there to miss. Count goes to 2-1. Takes a little off, pulls the string there as Greer gets Dudley swinging. Count 2-2. Greer gets him way out in front on the changeup. Put a weird swing on that one. Count stays 2-2 here. And here's the 2-2 again. Just a bit outside. We'll do the 3-2. One is lined in the air to left. It'll go foul.
Could have been his second collegiate career hit.
Absolutely. From here, it looked at first that one might have gone fair. Probably would have been a double, depending on how Perkins played that one out there and left. Definitely kind of at a point in the game where you're not really too focused on one run here or there. You're just trying to get outs and trying to get something put together on offense when you're this far back. 6 runs, although the Generals have been down by 7 before and overcame it. As he pops that one right at Volpicelli, who gets under it. Volpicelli makes the catch, 1 away.
I had a coach tell me once that softball or baseball is all about bases and outs. You just have to focus on either getting on base, tagging the base, getting
Center
the
fielder
out.
number 19,
And as long as you have that
Jacob Grable.
mentality, they just come naturally. The runs will come, the wins will come. And I think the Generals really have a great mentality when it comes to approaching their games, and that they never give up. They may get a little rattled for a few minutes, but for the most part, they are able to regather themselves and finish strong every game.
Absolutely, as Greer deals the first pitch 1-0, a little high and inside. And definitely it's one of those things when you're down this much, you got to take everything batter to batter, pitch to pitch, and can't think too much about the big pitcher. As Greer takes a little off that one, count 1-1. And obviously sometimes pitchers who can eat up innings, throw a lot of strikes, and get your team off the infield quick are good pitchers to have in a comeback situation like this. As Burnett will block that slider in the dirt. Count now 2-1. That, of course, will bring up Jacob Grable, the junior center fielder. Two-1. That one is lined towards Savino. Hit well. Back. Savino makes the catch deep out there in center. Played that one well. Line drive kind of hit right at him, a little over his head. Able to get back there, make the catch.
That was phenomenal tracking done by Salvino to cut that ball off to make sure
Left
minimal
fielder number
damage
1,
was
Jared
done.
Biesecker.
Absolutely. Savino definitely playing a very good center field today. That's a very athletic catch. Made it look a little easier than it was for the second out. And that'll bring up the top of the order here in the 6th inning. It'll be Biesecker. Today, so far, he's reached base in all 4 plate appearances, 3 for 4 with an error. And no, what a play! Mitchell Savino takes away what would have been the 4th hit of the game for Jacob Biesecker. Diving catch on a sinking line drive. How do you like that? Mitchell Savino showing off some athleticism, keeping this a 13-7 game. Great play from the freshman there. Savino, have yourself a day. back we go here. To the bottom of the 6th, Ryan Munson will lead it off for the Generals, now only down 13-7. Generals chipping away the last couple innings, making this less substantial of a lead. Ryan Munson in his last at-bat hit that hard line drive where the shortstop Talley made a leaping catch and a double play. We'll see if Munson can have some better luck this time as he looks at the first pitch fastball. High and outside, count 1-0. That one just a bit inside, count now 2-0. Munson average hitting .275 coming into this game, average down a little from last year, looking to bring it up again. 2-0 pitch, finally deals a strike there. Garber, velocity dropping a little in these later innings for him. He's been out there for a while today.
Already at about 69 pitches here for Garber. With only 5 hits and 2 runs, though, so he's definitely had a pretty good outing.
As Munson hits that one hard, line drive up the middle. Have himself a leadoff single here to start off the bottom of the 6th. That will bring up Bryce Burnett. Burnett, already 2 doubles today, got himself some RBIs.
Number 13, Bryce
We'll see if Burnett can keep up the hot hitting. Burnett, 2 long doubles, both of them long line drives in the left center field gap. Also had himself his first career home run this weekend, so Burnett feeling with the bat of late. We'll see if he can keep it going. So he takes the sign from Brandon Cohen. Once again, another interesting thing we're seeing here is that gap where Burnett has hit them both times in his doubles not being closed off at all. See if that has any effect of this next at-bat. As he takes the first pitch, high fastball inside. Count 1-0.
Wondering if some strategic moves are going to happen here for the Generals as more signals keep being given for the runner and for Burnett.
Second pitch, fastball on the outer half, count 1-1. I would say probably not in this situation. Down by 6 runs, you're looking at, you just want to have it go at bat to at bat. Usually don't do anything too crazy. You just kind of let the hitters hit in a situation where you need to put up 5 to 6 runs on the board. 1-1 to Burnett. That one popped into right field. LaPrade will be right under it, makes the catch. 1 away. Lazy pop up there for Burnett. That'll bring up Mr. Brian Wickman. 1 for 3 on the day so far.
Brian Wickman.
Excuse me, 0 for 2 on the day so far. Has the hit by pitch where he got on and scored in that 4-run first inning for the Generals.
Wickman taking his time getting into the box.
Wickman with some swagger from that walk-up music as he takes the first pitch from Garber. That one on the inside corner, 83 miles an hour. Wickman takes strike 1, count 0-1. Wickman, the freshman walk-on last year, walked on as a catcher, now moved over. He's the starting first baseman, hitting well this year, hitting around .310. Coach White trying to get him some at-bats in the lineup as they do go for a pitch out. Nothing doing with Munson on first. Probably an interesting spot to do the pitch out there when you have a 6-run lead. Usually, you probably don't expect someone to try and steal while up 6 runs.
I think my favorite thing I've heard about Brian Wickman was Ted White saying he plays first base like a catcher, which...
That one is lined in the air to left but foul. Wickman hit that one hard. And Lily, you were saying he plays first base like a catcher.
Which I didn't quite knew what he meant. And then I watched him against Keystone a few weeks ago, and that's exactly what he does. His stance, the way he approaches the ball, everything is exactly like a catcher, but he is a pretty effective first baseman for the Generals.
Well, he's been a catcher for his entire life, and he's learning a new position. Best way to go about it is, if you're playing first base, if maybe you can't do the traditional scoop, at least be blocking the ball and making sure that nothing gets past you. The amount of differences in runs and bases gained by the opposing team by balls that go down in that deep path over by first base over there for the Generals is a big, big difference. As Munson leads off first base, count 1-2 to Wickman. Another throw over for Garber. He has definitely not been lacking in pickoff throws today. Garber takes, he deals the 1-2. The pitch. That one is scooped in the dirt. Munson caught him between bases. Somehow gets back in there. Munson was caught in no man's land after a ball that looked like it probably should have gone by. A very, very unconventional sort of block scoop done by Montgomery behind the dish, and had him, Munson, who was running, nailed at second base. Munson found a way to do a 180 and sprint all the way back to first base. It's now a runner on first, 1 out, 2-2 count to Wickman. That one is in the air to left. That'll get down. Base hit, Brian Wickman. Another hit on the day for Wickman. He gets on, having himself a day, having himself a good year at the plate. That'll bring up Colin Leby. 2 on, 1 out. Generals down by 6, but once again, they are putting runners on the base pass, making sure that this is not a short-lived game. A very interesting one here in Lexington. A 6-run game, but the way it's been, we're not too sure either way how this one could go, as I think Garber finally has had a day. Looks like Coach will he signal out to the bullpen?
He does have some options working over there in the Bridgewater's bullpen, and it does appear that one player is coming in.
It. And an interesting hold for Garber. At one point, he came in, he did not have a lead. Or, excuse me, at one point, he only had a 1-run lead. That lead went all the way down up to an 8-run lead. Slowly, the Generals have chipped away. 6-run lead, 2 men on, and we'll have a new pitcher in for the Bridgewater Eagles as we'll take a short break here in Lexington. pitcher in here for the Bridgewater Eagles. It'll be Tyler Haraski. Haraski so far on the season only pitched 2 1/3 innings, 7.71 ERA, 2 on, 1 out. Colin Leby at the plate. First pitch, a slider in the dirt. 1-0, Leby gets ahead in the count. Haraski threw 2 1/3, giving up 2 hits, 2 earned, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. 4 strikeouts, over 9 at-bats. Hitters hitting 222 off him. Not a huge sample size for Haraski. We'll see what he has here. Interesting move by the coach, going on the lefty-on-lefty with Leby at the plate. Here's the 1-0. Fastball on the outer half. Gets Leby for a strike count, 1-1. Leby will deal the 1-1. That one is lined. Jazzed. Foul on the other half. Haraski taking his time. Mount out here, slowing down the pace of the game a little bit. As Leby, and a 1-1 count, 1 out, 2 runners on. Number 1 at the plate. Here's the pitch. That one is line foul over the broadcast booth here. Count now 1-2.
Go get it there. No. It's too late. It's honestly too late, honey. All the other freshmen have asked their freshmen.
Here is the 1-2 to Leby.
You honestly need to. You need to respond. Because either yes or no. Yeah.
Here's the 1-2. Colin Leby at the plate. Takes a curveball. Low below the knees. Count now 2-2. Very slow-paced game now for the Generals. Still kind of knocking at the door. Not totally over yet. Still have 11 more outs to play with to get 6 runs. We've seen them overcome more in the past. See what happens here. That one, another foul ball off from Levy. That one up to 84. Good job, lefty on lefty. Kind of a tough angle to he's throwing at. Coming around Levy, doing what he can to keep this count alive and keep this game alive for the Generals. And 2-2 to Levy. That one is chopped. That one won't get through. He will get the 1 out there. Tries to get him going. Nevada, what a play there. Hit hard by Levy, but cut off. The out is made, and that will bring up Luke Erdman to the plate here with 2 outs. Another situation for the Generals. This has not been uncommon at all in the game today. Luke Erdman will come to the bat with a runner in scoring position and 2 outs. As we've seen, the Eagles and the Generals both have 14 hits today. But the difference in this game has clearly been the ability to hit runners in scoring position with 2 outs as Luke Erdman pinch hits here for Mitchell Savino. Chapin Basie on deck. This will be his first step out of the game. First pitch taken low, fastball. Count 1-0. Erdman so far on the season has had 14 at-bats, 5 hits, scored 2 runs, 3 RBIs. That'll be good for a .357 average for Luke Erdman. And here's the 1-0. That one, the radar gun said 140, so possibly there might have been a mistake. Not too sure. We don't have confirmation on that yet, as Erdman will take the pitch for a 1-1 count. 1-1 leaves the fastball up in the zone. 2-1. Erdman ahead here with 2 outs. See if the Generals can finally muster together some 2-out hitting. Erdman takes the fastball on the lower half. Strike just on the outside corner. Some good two-seam movement there from the lefty pitcher. Count 2-2. Erdman fighting to keep this at-bat alive, keep the inning alive, see if the Generals can just chip away a little more here in this inning. Here's the 2-2. That one fights the curveball off, fouls it off, and will do it again. Lily, you think the Generals still have any chance at this point?
Oh, absolutely. That's one of my favorite parts about baseball is that every single team gets an at-bat. Every team gets a chance to get back up there and try to score more runs. So we're only in the bottom of the 6th. There's at least 2, if not 3 more opportunities for the Generals to get up there. And that's at least, 9 more outs that the Eagles have to make, not counting this inning. So
won't matter, though. 2-2 to Erdman. Goes down looking, fastball on the outer half. Umpire rings him up. That'll do it. 2 hits, no runs, 2 left on. We go to the top of the 7th. 13-7 Eagles. So some defensive changes as we come back here for the top of the 7th for the Generals. Luke Erdman will go out into left field, and Zach Perkins will take over for Mitchell Savino in center. As the first pitch from Greer, strike, fastball on the inner half, count 0-1. Perkins, a first baseman by trade, getting some outfield reps this year. Going to be interesting to see what he could do out there. As the curveball's popped up, Wickman, very, very loud, aggressive voice, makes the play. Gets the out. Very, very authoritative by Mr. Brian Wickman to make the play there. Take charge of the infield. 1 out for the Generals. Another easy out for Ben Greer, who likes to throw a lot of strikes early on. That'll bring up Kevin Avedo, who has made a very, very big play in the bottom half of the 6th inning. In order would probably save the run, cutting a ball off from going to the outfield. Navedo having himself a day at the plate. Pitch just probably a little bit inside. We probably wanted that one. Count now 2-2. 2-0, excuse me. That one drops the changeup in there. Count 2-1. One of the things that makes Greer so effective as a pitcher is his ability to throw strikes for all types of his pitches. We see right there comes in with the fastball on the inner half. The count now 2-2, but there is some activity out there in the Generals bullpen. Not too sure who it is yet. As that one is popped up, Burnett gives it a look. That one going to be out of play right around near the broadcast booth.
Burnett was definitely willing to knock over the umpire to get to that ball. He was determined if that was in play, he was going to make sure he got it.
And so that's Kenny Hartsfield warming up in the bullpen. Kenny the hard throwing right-hander. Always a fun guy to watch. Ben Greer, though, for now, doing a very effective job getting some outs in relief. Curveball up just a little in the zone. Greer not able to snap it all the way down and get that hard breaking movement he wanted near the end of that pitch. Left just a little up. 3-2, he walked him. Fastball left up. And that will bring up Matthew LaPrade. LaPrade, another hitter who's had himself another big day. He's had the sac bunt early on, and he had an RBI single in the big second inning. As LaPrade fouls that one off, count 0-1.
LaPrade also bunted back in the fourth inning. So, like Gazin, he is capable of playing the small ball here, which I don't know how likely the Eagles are going to be to use that right now, especially ahead so much. However, that is something in their back pocket that they can pull out if need be.
Definitely not something that you would ever use in a 13-7 game, but always good to have. As he deals a pitch right at Volpicelli, this could be two. There's one. Leby deals two. A double play. Greer gets out of the inning on the ground ball. 6-4-3 double play. And what ends up being a 1-2-3 inning for the Generals as we go to the 7th inning stretch. Eagles 13, Generals 7. And we're back here. It's the bottom of the 7th inning here. Chapin Bassie will lead it off for the Generals, trying to just muster up a little bit of something. They do have as many hits today as the Eagles, both of them with 14 hits, but the difference, of course, being the Generals not hitting with 2 outs and runners in scoring position, and the Eagles are.
And when you think about it, 4 of the Eagles' runs came from a single hit from Tally.
Yep,
so
with 2 outs.
At any opportunity, the Generals can get just as big of a hit and close the gap between them and the Eagles. They are still in this ballgame.
0-1 to Chapin is a fastball on the outer half, count already 0-2. And so Trasky, a guy, kind of works slowly, but throws a lot of strikes early on. Bassie already 0-2. Bassie, the 9-hitter so far, not hitting too well this year, still hitting in the 200s. As he cuts on a miss, pulled the string on the changeup. Low and away, Bassie swings right over it for the first out of the inning. That will bring up the leadoff hitter, Jackson Gazin. Gazin hitting a batting average hovering somewhere around 400 right now. 3 for 4 on the day. Came into the game hitting .391. He has 15 stolen bases on the year. See if he, of all people, the leadoff man, can get something going for the Generals here in the bottom half. And the pitch. Fastball taken just a bit outside. Count 1-0.
Gazin has 15 runs on the season, 2 today. Definitely a key player here for the Generals and someone you want at bat right at this time. Hopefully he is able to get some action going here for the Generals.
As the 1-0 is taken a little high. Gazin already 2-0, showing some good plate discipline on some pitches that have looked pretty close. Here's a 2-0 to Gazen. That one taken inside. Gazen, something we've seen, I think, probably the third or fourth time in just the second game that I've done in the last week, where he's kind of turned back and said something to the umpire on a call that he didn't like.
Sometimes, though, it's always nice to ask where that is. You can do so in a polite manner.
And it doesn't matter because the next pitch he hits hard, but it won't get down. Line drive to center field. Caught. That'll make Gazen 3 for 5 on the day, and that's one of the things we've seen with Gazen. He hasn't been necessarily so lucky in the past week or so as his average has come tumbling down from where it was, as he's hit balls really, really hard, but hit them right at people. That'll bring up Zach Perkins. Perkins with the 2-run triple for the Generals. That's been their only runs since the second inning. We'll see if Perkins, a guy already 2 triples in his Generals career, can get something going. That one is chopped over to the right side. Foul. Count 0-1.
Going back to Gazen, something my dad always told me is when you consistently are hitting the ball, even if it is at people, those hits will fall eventually. And I think the Generals team has made such a great atmosphere where even though his batting average is not as high as it was earlier in the season, he is still going out there, still getting those chances to make the hits, and they do fall. He has had a great day today. He is 2 and 3, I think, now according to the stats, but still
3 for 5,
making those big moves right now.
As Perkins fouls off the 0-2, stays alive here. 0-2, 2 outs here. Bottom of the 7th for the Generals. Starting to become, time is starting to tick for them. They have 7 outs left to play with, 6 runs to go. Technically a save situation for Trasky. A long one, but a save situation. So takes the fastball low and outside. Count goes to 1-2. Definitely starting to get real quiet here at Captain Dick Smith Field. We'll see if the Generals can get something going at the plate to get the fans rolling again. 1-2. Fouled off again. Perkins stays alive. We'll do the 1-2 again. That pitch. That one way outside there. Nowhere close. With the curveball, Trasky, a good pitcher for lefty-on-lefty situations. We'll see if Perkins can take advantage of it. We'll see if he can take advantage of the mismatch. Perkins, though, a very strong hitter early on in his W&L career, hitting around 370. And the 2-2. That one in on his hands. Chopped foul. Definitely jammed him up there, but a good job by Perkins once again to stay alive and make him work. As poor as the Generals hitting with runners in scoring position has been today, the one thing that they have been doing so well is maintaining long at-bats, getting good plate discipline, and making some of these pitchers work more and more. And usually that leads to some big hits. It hasn't today, but we'll see as the 2-2 is lined in the air to left. That ball's going to get down fair. Perkins will have himself a stand-up double with 2 outs here. Great job of hitting, take an inside-out swing. Hard fastball in on his hands, and he poked it out there to left. On the one hopper against the wall, Perkins has himself a 2-out double, and the Generals at least have a little something going with Jason Volpicelli coming up to hit here in the bottom of the 7th.
Volpicelli coming up to bat, definitely a more consistent hitter here for the Generals. Definitely something that Ted White wants to see come up to the plate today.
Absolutely. If you do want to get a little something going, you at least have the guys up that you want. You have the 3, 4, 5 part of the order. You have Volpicelli, you have Ryan Munson, and you have Bryce Burnett. Guys who could, if anything, get a little something going here. We'll see if Volp can get at least a run in here for the Jennies.
The field lights have officially come on here at Captain Dick Smith Field. So honestly, I think both teams are here for the long ball. There's still so much time left to be played. So many more pitchers for both teams. Anything can happen.
7th inning, we are already approaching the 3-hour mark, so it's been a very long one here at Captain Dick Smith. As he deals, that one is lined in the air to center. That gets down. Perkins coming around. He will score. It's going to be 13-8 Generals. Finally get a run across as Volpicelli, exit velo on that hit, 54 miles an hour. Just blooped that one right over to the middle. And that'll get a run in. So the top of the lineup getting the job done here for the Generals. And that will bring up the power man, Ryan Munson here. Generals cut the lead down to 5. And so finally able to come through with runners in scoring position and 2 outs. Obviously, we wonder what this game would look like if they had been doing that all game. But it's not too late. 7 outs left, 5 runs down.
Once again, Jason Volpicelli with the timely hits here. You know the Generals have to be riding that wave of relief of, hey, we are still in this. We are still here, slowly picking away at that lead. Now only 5 runs. I mean, they got 4 in the first inning, so I definitely think this is something the Generals can come back from.
Throws over. Probably not much doing in the base path, still down 5. But at least the lead starts to look a little more manageable. They've been down, obviously, one game they were down 7 in the bottom of the 8th and found a way to win it by the top of the 9th. So never over, but it's going to take a lot of work for this Generals team. As Munson takes the 2-seamer on the outer half. Count goes to 0-2. He'll try and stay alive and keep the inning alive here.
I definitely think this is a Generals team who's willing to put in the work. You know, this is their first ODAC game of the season and a big one for an at-home game too. So I definitely think here and now is the time for them to come back and set a great precedent as we get into ODAC play.
Well, their first home ODAC game. They're 3-1 so far on the road. Their first time facing Bridgewater this year. So the Generals struggled recently in ODAC play, but good to see them going up, already being up 3-1. On the season. As Munson tries to get him to chase on the slider in the dirt. Nothing doing. Count 1-2. And you'll see there definitely looks to be some tired bodies all around in the field. Little lethargicism. It'd be interesting to see if the Generals can step on the gas pedal and take advantage of that soon. Munson's going to be a tough play for the first baseman. Gets over, fields, fires. 3 away, that'll do it. Here for the 7th. We're through 7. Eagles 13, Generals 8. We'll be back here. You're listening on WLUR 91.5 FM Lexington. We return here for the top of the 8th inning here at Captain Dick Smith Field. JT Creed, the designated hitter, leads it off for the Bridgewater Eagles as Benton Greer still in the game for the Generals. He's thrown well today. His first pitch hit hard towards Chapin Bassey. That one right off the glove. That'll get by him. That one more than likely going to go down as another error for this Generals team. That's going to be a 3rd on the day. Bassey can't be happy with that. That was a routine ground ball, hit pretty hard. But Greer, first pitch strike, gets his ground ball, doing all he can. That's been the other big problem for the Generals this season that we've seen is that they have struggled mightily defensively.
That's so hard, too, as an infielder. You know, if your glove is just a little bit off the ground, then the ball can hit off of it weird and cause all sorts of disruptions. So definitely frustrating when you're just trying to get the outs, trying to get back into the batter's box to end this lead that the Eagles have. So, but the only thing that they can do is just keep
lays
moving
down the
forward.
bunt. He gets it down. Going to be a tough play. Greer, bare hands. Nothing doing as the speedy Jeffrey Snyder lays down the bunt single. Nothing Greer could do on that one. That'll be their 15th hit of the day. If we see the Generals have actually technically out-hit the Eagles. They got 16 hits. Eagles have their 15th. They just got their second on a bunt. And now that will bring up Tanner Montgomery. He's got some hits today already. And that will bring out Coach White to the mound. See if he's going to allow Greer to stay in this one. Doesn't look like he's taking the ball yet. It looks like just a little conference try and gain their feet, gain their momentum after the tough error by Bassie, who's had a couple errors so far already as the starting third baseman this year for the Generals. Some movement up in the pen. Kenny Hartsfeld, one of them. He's the one that's been throwing there for longer. Looks like that might be Jackson Thigpen to the right of him. Looks like White will keep Benton Greer in this game as the umpire goes, breaks up the conference. And we'll go back here. Tanner Montgomery will be the hitter. Montgomery on the season and exactly a 300 hitter. Before today, 8 games played, 6 started, 20 at-bats in those at-bats. Has had 6 hits and 4 RBIs and 6 total bases. Here's the first pitch from Greer. Gets the sign from Burnett, and he deals. Squares down the bunt, hit right back at Greer. He'll take the routine play at first, get the out. One away, runners will advance to second and third.
Yeah, I really love how the Bridgewater Eagles here are taking advantage of the small ball here. Now we have seen 2 bunts laid down, which is really something that a lot of teams don't really turn to, but why not practice that? It's such an important skill, and when you're up by 5 runs, why not move runners around in a non-traditional way?
Very interesting, of course, to see them do it in a game that kind of seemed out of hand, but making sure that every run of theirs counts, as that will do it for Ben Greer. Really interesting decision by Coach White to leave him in there for 1 pitch as in a bunt situation, but I guess that's what they're going to do. Kenneth Hartsfeld will come in, the hard-throwing right-hander. We'll see if he can get over some of the command issues he's had lately and get the Generals out of a jam. 2 on, runners on second and third, 1 out. Eagles up 13-8 as we go for a quick commercial break as Hartsfeld will warm up to throw. Back here to the top of the 8th. 1 out. Hartsfeld deals with 2 men on. The pitch. Hard and inside. Kenny deals a first pitch strike. Count will be 0-1. The hitter is the freshman Jake Dudley. Had his first career hit today. It was a 2-run double in the gap with runners. See if he can get it done again. Hartsfeld drops curveball in there. Quickly ahead 0-2 here. Good sign for Hartsfeld early on. Hartsfeld will have the bottom of the order due up. He's got 8 and 9, and then he'll have the top if any gets on. Dudley thought about it, Doesn't swing. Hartsfeld threw that one where he wanted. Curveball in the dirt. Tried to get him chase. Tried to get him to chase. Just didn't, but almost did.
Burnett has been such a solid wall back behind the plate tonight, really ensuring that those balls that take weird hops or maybe a little too low do not get past him.
And here's the 1-2 from Hartsfeld. Pitch is hit on the ground towards short. Volpicelli can't make the play. Still throws to first. Nothing doing there. That was hit hard. Probably had a play at the plate if he had fielded it cleanly, but it will be another error for the Generals. That one puts them down 14-8 and down 6 runs. Another deflating error for this infield defense that is, to put it lightly, has been nothing short of a disaster early on in this season.
All you can do at this point as a Generals player, though, is you got to shake it off and just move on to the next play like they're doing here and getting the double play.
How do you like that? One pitch later, Leby, a hard hit ground ball, throws to Volpicelli, who makes the play, throws to first, and you have yourself an easy 4-6-3 double play. This inning over on one pitch after it looked like a disaster. The Generals, as bad as it looks sometimes, always find a way to stay in it. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Eagles 14, Generals 8, coming up to bat. Washington Lee Generals go into the bottom of the 8th inning. They are down 14-8. Bryce Burnett will lead it off. Then you'll have Brian Wickman and Colin Leby up after that. Luke, see if the Generals can get something going. They've done it before. Just a week ago, they were down 7 in the bottom of the 8th, and they put up 8 in that inning. See if something can happen here. First pitch to Burnett, line, but foul out of play. Over down there by the Generals bullpen.
Burnett with 2 doubles on the day already, and that gap in left field that he liked so much earlier is still very much so there. All he needs is a pretty okay pitch, and I'm sure that he can send it out there to get something rolling.
Instead, he'll take one right on the shoulders. He'll get on 77-mile-an-hour fastball. We'll put Burnett on first base. Wickman will have a runner on with no outs to start us up here in the bottom of the 8th.
Not an ideal way to get a base runner, but once again, we'll take it.
That'll be the second hit batter for the Generals in this game today. Neither of them had particularly a lot of velocity on them, so not too worried if you're a General getting hit today. That'll bring up the sophomore first baseman, Brian Wickman.
Wickman has been a player that's been so great to watch from just last year to how much he has grown, not only in his confidence, but just in his abilities and his knowledge and intellect of the game when he's in the game as well. So he's been really fun to watch, especially today. You know, may not have been his best game, but he is really laying it all out there.
As he takes the first pitch just a bit outside. Count will be 1-0. And here's the 1-0. On his line, but foul. Goes off the tarp over there on the left field foul pole, left field foul corner. Count goes to 1-1. Wickman just way ahead on that one. Pitcher in now, throwing a little bit slower than some of the guys we've seen. It's Evan Gagne, the freshman, a little slower than a couple of guys we've seen earlier on. So Wickman looking to adjust that timing and stay back. Be a 1-1 to Wickman. Curveball gets down in there. Good bite on it. Started up out of the zone and bit late. Nothing you could do too much if you're Wickman there. Count goes down to 1-2. He deals. Just missed on the outside corner there. Two to Wickman as he calls timeout. Looks like he's got a little something in his eye there. Gets it out. Bit of a late call there, but once again, an atmosphere here at Captain Dick Smith Field that has just been very subdued and quiet since they've taken a large lead. Large crowd on hand earlier in the game, but not so much now. As Wickman lines the curveball into left. Hit well, but right at the left fielder Besecker. And we'll have one away here. That will bring up the freshman second baseman, Colin Leby here. Leby today is 1 for 3. Grounded out in his last at-bat, grounded out in the at-bat before that, but did have himself a 2-run single in the first inning that at one point gave the Generals a lead. And the first pitch to Leby. That one is popped in the air to center. Grable's under it, makes the catch, 2 away.
It seems as if the Generals are almost too anxious to start chipping away at that scoreboard, that they're managing to get just under the balls and making it all too easy for the Eagles to just catch these pop flies.
Yeah, I definitely think you're spot on that point. Sometimes you think a little too much and try to do it all by yourself, and you end up kind of just missing one or swinging out of your shoes a little, or maybe swinging out of a pitch that you probably shouldn't have been. And with 2 outs, 1 on, that'll bring up Lou Girdman. First pitch, slider in there, just missed, probably a little inside there. As Erdman gets ahead in the count, 1-0. And here's the 1-0 to Erdman. Strike down the middle. Burnett will just get back in there. Had to catch her through behind the runner there at first. Burnett had to fight to get back there. Erdman will have his second at-bat of the day. He's over 1 so far with a strike. Slider, nothing doing there. Not a lot of bite on it. Erdman didn't even think about going after that one. And here's the 2-1 to Erdman. Pitch is lined. Fair, that's a base hit into right field. Burnett will think about it, but Erdman hit that one too hard for Burnett to get to second, but that'll put another runner on. So once again, you got 2 on and 2 outs. A very, very common theme for the Generals today. They have 2 more hits. They have 2 more hits than the Bridgewater Eagles do today, yet trail by 6 runs, and it's because they haven't been able to come through in situations like this. However, you never know. A couple hits strung together right here could get something interesting going. First pitch to Bassie. Slow breaking curveball, not too much bite on it. Chapin once again, not even thinking about giving that one a go. He got 2-1, probably not too much doing on the base pass, down by 6. One 0 to Bassie. Well, and takes the fastball in there for a strike. Count 1-1. Bassie looks for the 1-1. Curveball, 69 miles an hour. Looked good. Called a ball. Count goes to 2-1. Bassie hits it hard, but right at the third baseman. This could be 2. There's 1. That's all they need. Excuse me, there's only 2 outs. He ends at third baseman, deals to the second baseman. Gets the third out of the inning. Generals once again. Runners in scoring position with 2 outs. Come up with nothing. That's the story of this game. We go to the 9th. Eagles lead the Generals 14-8. We go to the top of the 9th inning here at Captain Dick Smith Field. Kenneth Hartsfield is still the pitcher on the mound for the Generals. The Eagles lead the Jennies 14-8. Kenny looking to keep it that way as he deals the first pitch. Hard slider just a little low. We'll start off 1-0. And it will be Jarrett Biesecker to lead off. He's the leadoff guy for the Eagles. He is 3 for 5 today, with what would have been his 4th hit earlier on, was robbed by an amazing diving play by Mitchell Savino, who's been a top defender for this Generals team. Interesting that he was taken out of this game when down by 6, but that was the call that was made as a ground ball to the second baseman, Leby. Makes it look easy. Biesecker had some wheels, made that one a little closer than you would have expected, but just like that, one away.
Brian Wickman's ability to really stretch after those throws on first base has definitely helped the Generals gain some more outs today. Anyone a little shorter with a little less of a stride maybe would not have had as much luck as Brian Wickman has had today.
Hartsfeld deals the first pitch. Drops curveball in there for strike 1. Obviously, if you're a first baseman, and especially if you're a starting first baseman at a college level, those are the things you're going to have. You're going to have flexibility, and you're going to have to pick a ball. If not, you probably shouldn't be a first baseman at this level. But obviously, Wickman is able to do those things, and he's able to swing a strong bat. That's why he's made himself a regular in this lineup.
His picking abilities have definitely gotten better throughout this season so far. I know in the first few games it was a little rough having to adjust a ball coming in from a different angle at first base than when you're behind the plate, but he's definitely been able to make that adjustment today.
As Hartsfeld now ahead of the count 1-2. And he deals. On his line, base hit. Hard line drive to left field. Tally pick up his 4th hit of the game. He's 4 for 5 today. He does it again. He had that grand slam earlier. And the Bridgewater Eagles haven't looked back from that. Still haven't had more hits than the Generals today. Generals have strung together 17 base hits, but haven't been able to convert them into runs like the Bridgewater Eagles have. That will bring up the second baseman, Kevin Nevato. First pitch. Hartsfeld blows it right by him. Fastball right at his letters. Hartsfeld looks pumped up right now, ready to go.
Hartsfeld's definitely making the Eagles swing, which is something you definitely want, especially to get this game rolling so the Generals can get right back into the batter's box.
Good block by Burnett. Keeps him over on first base there. Generals just looking to get back into the dugout without another long inning. So we're coming up. This game has now lasted 3 hours and 20 minutes. A very long one here at Captain Dick. As that one did kind of look a little high and outside, but gave him the strike there. Count will be 1-2. Hartsfeld will try and get him 1-2. Swung on a miss. Throw down to second. But they're going to call batter's interference on the catcher. That will call the runner out. And because of that, you'll get the strike him out, throw him out. The inning is over in short fashion. And we will go to the bottom of the 9th. Generals chasing 6. And we go to the bottom of the 9th here at Captain Dick Smith. Jackson Gazen, the leadoff man, will get another at-bat in this game. He'll lead it off for the Generals. They're chasing 6. Going to be a tough one. Gazen will try and lead it off with a bunt, try to get creative, maybe bunt a single. Knows he's got wheels. Count will go to 0-1, just try to catch him. Third baseman was playing pretty far back. Trying to catch him off guard there. Interesting move, always kind of play around when you're down 6 runs, get something going. Trying to get the bench up and lively. Here's the 0-1. Curveball misses outside. Wasn't able to get the good release on that he wanted. Gagne will deal a 1-1 to Gazen. That one is lined in left field, looping. That one will get down. Going to be a leadoff single for Jackson Gazen. That'll be his 3rd hit on the game. And that will bring up now the center fielder. Moved over from left field earlier in the game, Zach Perkins. Perkins has had himself a good day. 2 hits so far. A single in the 4th, and he had that 2-run triple way back when in the 6th. Gagne gives Gazen a look. Nothing doing. Here's the first pitch. Takes low. Fastball down at 78 miles an hour from Gagne.
I'm sure by this point the Eagles are very aware of the speed that Gazen has. So they're wanting to make sure he doesn't try to take any extra bases so they can secure this win. However, there are still 3 more outs that need to happen here in Captain Dick Smith Field, so anything can happen.
Absolutely. As Gagne deals high and away for 2-0, obviously down 6 runs statistically makes no sense, and most coaches will tell you they're not going to steal regardless of the situation with a run deficit that large.
But at this point, what do you have to lose, you know? I mean, if I were the Generals, why not just try to snag that extra base if you have the opportunity?
Perkins takes a strike from Gagne, count 2-1. Here's the 2-1. Perkins went around on that one. Count now 2-2. Two now. Curveball just bit outside. Didn't get the bite he wanted there at the end. Left it just a little up and out. Perkins will have new life. 3-2 here. Perkins been a very effective hitter for the Generals, hitting around 370, 380 now after we tabulate in today's stats. 3-2. That one fouled off. Catcher not able to hold on. Perkins will stay alive here. The Generals will stay alive too. Down by 6 runs, 3 outs to go. Not looking great for the Generals. You never know. It's happened before. But obviously a game that when it comes to Coach White talking in the locker room, they're going to talk about the errors by the infield and not being able to score with two outs. As Perkins strikes out, Gazin goes, and he just gets in there. They almost had him. And with that, Perkins goes down looking, so we'll have a man on second, Jackson Gazin. Jason Volpicelli will be the batter. Interesting velo stat right there. K only came in from the pitcher at 79. Catcher released it at 83, so your catcher has got a better arm than your pitcher right now. Interesting stuff. But Volpicelli will be the batter. Had an RBI single in his last at-bat. Finally got the Generals on the board after a long drought of not scoring any runs. Generals still down by 6. Going to take a lot to get anything out of them here. As Volpicelli looks at the first pitch curveball for a strike, count 0-1. Obviously, the difference in this game is that crooked number up on the scoreboard there. We see in the 4th inning the 7 runs put up by the Bridgewater Eagles. Most of them all came with 2 outs after an error. So a tough job if you're the Generals. That one gets away. Gazin's going to try and go to third. That one gets away. The shortstop will back it up, though. That one got all the way into left. Interesting move. The shortstop actually faked out Gazin there into making him think that he had the ball, and Gazin stopped running and looked away. Had Gazin kept his eye on it and seen that ball went all the way into left, he probably had a move at home. But obviously in this situation, it doesn't really matter. Obviously, Volpicelli's still in a very good position to get Gazin in. So he fouls that one back up and over the broadcast booth here. Volpicelli now will have the 1-2 count. Here is the 1-2 to Volp. That one hit on the ground to short. That'll get the run in. But it'll get the out too. It'll go down as a 6-3. Shortstop fields the ground ball. Gets the out at first. We are now 1 out away from ending the ball game here. Volpicelli will add another RBI to his stat book. The score 14-9 here. 2 outs here in the 9th. Ryan Munson, the last chance for the Generals.
Let's not forget, though, just like you were talking about, how most of the Eagles' runs in the 4th inning came when they had 2 outs. The very same thing could be done for the Generals here.
First pitch, looks at it, count 0-1. They do have the heart of the order coming up, so they could muster a little something together. Odds not in the Generals' favor, however. Here's the 0-1. Takes a curveball lone inside, count 1-1. 1-1 way high. Gets by the catcher. That'll make the count at 2-1. Munson in the driver's seat now, trying to keep the Generals alive here in the 9th. In a game that has been tough to watch in the last couple of innings, with the Generals going down in a very frustrating manner. 2-1. That one hit in the air to right. That ball is high. It is far. It is going to be off the wall on a hop. Munson will have at least 2. He will stop there as he has himself a 2-run double. A 2-out double here in the bottom of the 9th. Keeps the Generals alive. That'll bring up Bryce Burnett, who has had himself quite a day.
Once again, we have a Generals runner in scoring position, very capable of chipping away even more at the lead that the Eagles have. You know, the Eagles must just be thinking of maintaining where they're at, but maintaining without being complacent to ensure that they can get this big ODAC win.
Now it's Bryce Burnett who's the final hope for the Generals. And Gagne deals the first pitch. Curveball stays inside. Burnett ahead in the count, 1-0. Burnett, obviously, as we've been saying all along today, that he's been very hot at the plate lately. Gonna need to keep that streak alive. The Generals are gonna have any sort of chance here. Obviously, we're 2 batters away from even having the tying run on deck. Deals a fastball outside corner. Nicks the plate. Count will be 1-1. And the 1-1 to Burnett. Outside, 2-1. So this game will continue on and on. Been a very long one. If it ends right now, you're looking at a 3.5-hour baseball game. Kind of almost looking like one of those Yankee-Red Sox games you see in late August that just drag on and on. Tons of pitching changes, tons of long innings. As Burnett swings and misses at the 2-1, and the Generals are down to their last strike.
You see Burnett taking a deep breath as he understands the position that he's in now, not wanting to be that person that ends this game, but also not getting too in your head so that you can just do what you do best, which for him
Gagne
is getting on
deals
base.
the 2-2. That one up and out of the zone. Count now 3-2. Burnett, of course, does not want to be the guy to make the last out in the game, as Lily said just there. Of course, this Generals team, one thing they do have is fight, but you wonder how much fight they have when it looks like this. And he'll deal the 3-2. Caught on and missed. Ball game over. Eagles win 14-9 in what was a bit of an ugly one. The Eagles finish 14 runs, 16 hits, 1 error. The Generals, 9 runs, 19 hits, but 4 errors, the big talk in this game. Obviously, it'll be interesting to see. Last game they had, the Generals did not shake hands after the game due to all the talk about this coronavirus. It'll be interesting to see if they do it here. I think they're going to, as they're shaking their own hands, so I think it's going to be fine. Very, it looks like they're gonna fist pump. I think that's what they're gonna do. What are they gonna nod heads? Very interesting thing. But yeah, Britty, honestly, the bats were there for the Generals, but it was an ugly game, Lily, if we're talking about the 2 things we could really talk about for ages, and you can't stress them enough. The inability to hit with 2 outs and runners in scoring position, and the amount of errors made by that infield defense. If those 2 things flip, and the other team has those problems, we're looking at a reversed scoreboard. Any more thoughts on this game?
No, exactly what I was thinking too. You know, the Generals really did put up a really hard fight, especially after getting down even as early as the 2nd inning. But like you said, you really can't win ball games by leaving runners out on the base and, you know, not capitalizing on the opportunities that you do have. However, I do think that the Generals, they have it all there. They just really need to put it back together, get out of their heads, and get back to playing the ball that they were playing at the beginning of the season.
I mean, absolutely. And they're still 10-4 to start this season, so not a bad start for the Generals. They're 3-2 in ODAC play. Coach White does not look happy right there. But, I mean, it's probably exactly what he's going to talk to this team about, and we'll see what the mental aspects of some of these things have been and what mentally has been going wrong for the Generals. Obviously, we don't get an inside look at what goes on inside their practices, but just from an outside perspective looking in, those are the two things we've been focusing on. The bats are there, the pitching's really strong, and the infield defense, you have a lot of really talented infielders between Bassi, Volpicelli, Colin Leby, and Brian Wickman, and I would not be surprised if later on in this season they're able to get it together. That is all today for the Washington Elite Generals baseball broadcast, brought to you on 91.5 FM WLUR Lexington. This broadcast of Generals Athletics has been brought to you in part by the Washington Elite University Store. Celebrate your favorite Generals team with a sports tee, decal, or hat. If you can think of it, we probably have it. The store is open 7 days a week and is owned and operated by W&L. All proceeds go back to the Washington Elite community, helping to fund athletic, alumni, and student programs. Order online anytime at store.wlu.edu, and be sure to follow us on Facebook and Twitter for exclusive online promotions. Go Generals. That is up for James Laverty and Lily Mitchell. That is all today for Generals Baseball.